you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Haliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
John here. Thank you very much for joining us. We have a busy show. I'll give you the rundown coming up in a couple of minutes. One very early and one that is going to be incredibly fun. I promise you that. Coming up, maybe not so much, but May the 15th is going to be a must-attend event. I'll explain coming up in a minute. Raven Johnson will talk about Nasir Adderley. So it is very Colts for a dude that hadn't played in a couple of years. You bring him back, and you run it back with him. We'll get to the latest Colts signing in that secondary in Nasir Adderley coming up a little bit later on as well. And Tyrese Haliburton, we talked about this yesterday. I have a firm belief in Haliburton. A lot of you are saying, hey, I don't know. Hey, I don't know. There's a lot going on here. You're recovering from the Achilles. You've got shingles. And much like what people do in social media, it's just a world of jackassery for one, especially X. What's wrong with you guys in X? I put out a video yesterday. This is a true story. I put out a video yesterday in my belief in Tyrese Haliburton and the Pacers next year. It may be misguided because, honestly, I would think that a Pacer team that is ready to just jump right back and challenge again next year, as I suggest they will and they better, should probably win more than 19 games this year. I'm just guessing, and I view that as problematic. So I make this video in my belief of Tyrese Haliburton. I make my video in my belief of the Pacers coming up next year, and you go ahead and wipe the slate clean with this gap season, and nobody really cares. Everything is all good. So I did that video yesterday, and I get a response, and I don't know if this is like real people or not, and hell, this was like on Facebook or something. I thought Facebook was like just your normal yearbook kind of people hanging. I use it as a yearbook with friends that I grew up with, friends I went to high school or college with that I don't consistently talk to, but I can. That's kind of how I use that. And I use that as a promotional device, much like I do a lot of social media or most of the social media. Because I just don't know. If you know me, I have to fight off the negativity. I'm not a negative dude. I want to have a good time, and I want to have a good time because we're not allotted a great deal of time, and I realize that. So time now is of the essence. So I am expediting the process. I mentioned this summer. Every weekend is going to be must attend and have a good time. I'm not wasting one weekend because I complain too much in the wintertime about how much the weather sucks. And what makes it worse in the wintertime, the weather sucking, but then it's also your football team sucking or it's your basketball team sucking. I mean, we had nothing to really lean on other than, I guess, the Boilermakers over the course of part of the regular season and then the end result. But when you think about it, really had nothing to lean on. There was nothing to go home to and go, hey, this is great. We got 15 inches of snow and it's 5 degrees below zero, but this is great. We didn't really have much of that. So, yeah, I'm taking advantage of it. And you should too, spring and summer. But I had mentioned about Haliburton and my belief, and if there is one thing about this Pacer team, it is Tyrese Haliburton. He's the common denominator. He's the guy that makes everybody better. And I know it all sounds cliche, but cliche description be damned, he's legit in making everybody better. There are very few dudes like that. And I know you're going to say, well, he's not, this incredible scorer or incredible this. No, he is an incredible getter together and making dudes better. That is so much more important. The rest of that can smooch it, seriously. The rest of it can smooch it. But if you're going to look at how this team won last year, why you were so excited about this team, and even minus a couple of players, one being Miles Turner, the other being Benedict Mathurin, even if you're going to be subtracted of those guys, again, the common denominator is still Tyrese Haliburton. I feel bad for what he's going through right now because that looks like a complete pain in the ass. And I would agree. I thought shingles was something that, hey, I think your great-grandma just got shingles in Walnut Grove, and Doc Baker had to cure her of the shingles. And you had to pay Doc Baker, you had to give Doc Baker a couple of laying hens. That's the charge for Doc Baker's services on Little House on the Prairie. That's why I thought I had shingles one time, and I had it one time, I think 88, 89, I had it, but it was mostly reserved to my pit area right here. Not like deep in the pits, but around the pit, like the outer portions. Yeah, it was in the suburbs of the pit. And it was sore, don't get me wrong, but man, never around the face, around the eyes, taking half your eyebrows, swollen shut eyes. Never anything like that. I tell you, I think still you're going to get the absolute best version of Tyrese Haliburton. And A, because he's really good and very talented at what he does and bringing team and teammates together. And has just a knack, a savvy that very few have of putting guys in the right spot for success. But I think it's also because what he's been through, what he's had to battle through. I think we're all more appreciative about situations when those situations are either A, taken away from us, or B, they're compromised because of other crap. And you become more appreciative. And you understand even more how to go at it hard. I'm assuming you probably have done this in whatever field you have been in. I don't know, completely written off, but maybe you've struggled here or there. Maybe it's something out of your control. But you gather and you go at it even harder because you're always trying to track down that level of success. That's what you're looking for. That's every level, every walk, every existence out there. And I think that is doubled when you're one of the elite guys to do what you do in the game of basketball. And I believe him to be that. Be damned the weight gain, the shingles. If there's one thing that may come out of this is the fact that, I don't know about anybody else, if you've ever played basketball, if you get injured, man, it seems like you're thinking about that a lot. Oh, yeah, okay, I got to think about this and think about this situation. It's almost like he has completely gone past the Achilles situation, and now he's just saying, you know what, this shingle thing is such a pain in the ass, I can't wait to get clear of this. So maybe he starts at a different point. I guess all-encompassing here, what is a bummer is he was on track, well on track to get back, but this whole shingles thing, and hopefully there's no curse. You don't want to be cursed like the Colts are right now. So hopefully there's no curse going on with the Game 7 injury. And, oh, now you're getting back. Well, all of a sudden, zap, there's your shingles. And we're not going to do it like we did JMV in his armpit. We're going to give it to you right there on your face. Hopefully that is not the case. But I have a tremendous amount of belief in the bringing together of players that you just don't see very often. And you have it here with Tyrese Haliburton. I am a firm believer. I was thinking about that, too, when I knew I was going to come out and mention this and kind of get into this particular category. Yeah, I do remember the times where I said, you know, it's a struggle for him to guard on the perimeter and guys get around him with relative ease. And the defense, I don't give a damn about any of that. I want him to be back because I think that the most important asset this team has is Tyrese Haliburton and his elite level of play, bringing everybody together. I think my man's been through about everything. When you think about it, now shingles, Achilles, and not playing in the Olympics, having to deal with horses' asses on the social media with that, just having to deal with social media and horses' asses in general. He's been through it all. And I think to the betterment of him and this team, and we're still going to put up with it because we're going to watch, for example, we're going to watch the playoffs begin coming up later on tonight and the play-in affairs, and you're going to go, wow, I wish the Pacers were playing. Remember what it was like last year. And I would agree with you, and there are going to be more days just like that. But I do ultimately believe it is going to be for the better. And that belief is instilled due to the level of play and the confidence I have in the return of Tyrese Haliburton. I mentioned, too, you got a couple of play-in scenarios tonight, the Heat and the Hornets, 7:30. There's nothing less I enjoy watching than a game that involves LaMelo Ball playing. LaMelo Ball needs to be playing alongside the professor. Did you watch the N1 mixtape stuff? Was that you? Caleb is in today for Nathaniel, who was in for James. Did you watch N1 mixtape stuff?
I never watched N1 mixtape stuff, but I can imagine what it is.
So I think LaMelo Ball is somewhere between the professor and Escalade right there.
I know Escalade is. Yeah, okay.
Escalade's no longer with us. That was the brother of Mark
Rest in
Jackson.
peace.
I believe that was Troy Jackson back in the day. But yeah, LaMelo Ball, and it's weird too because I don't mind watching the Hornets play, but that is tough. That's not a bringer together of dudes. That is a here's what I'm going to go out here and do, and if it doesn't work, then we're probably all pretty screwed. Heat and Hornets 7:30 later on tonight. The Blazers and the Suns. I can see that Caleb is in studio rocking the Suns jersey.
Charles Barkley.
The Barkley for the Suns back in the day.
Yeah, NBA playing day. I know it's a little somber that the Pacers aren't in it here, but I don't know. It's celebrating playoff basketball.
There's nothing wrong with what you're rocking right there. That's a nice vintage
90s.
jersey. What is that, 93 right there?
Yeah, it would have been 93 finals when they were playing the Bulls.
93 finals. The head coach, I believe, was Paul Westphal. Danny Ainge was on that team as well. Was he not? Was Mark West the pivot, the five-man on that Suns team in 93, I believe so.
I don't know. Was there a guy named Dan Marley? Was he on that team?
People around there call him Majorly. Dan Marley from Central Michigan was a part of that as well. And it's funny, like he was the defensive guy, and I still kind of wonder if he could ever guard anybody back then, but he was like always known as the defensive guy. Blazers and Suns coming up later on tonight. Denari's going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll talk about the Pacers. We got to get to Raven Johnson in that first-round selection, number 10 overall by the Fever. Last night, the Fever season about ready to get started. We'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. Greg Rakestraw is going to join us with the transfer portal. Is there anything new, Caleb, that I have missed involving? Yesterday was an active day for IU in the transfer portal.
I think right now the waiting game is Aiden Sherrill from Alabama, trying to see what happens there. But
so is this a waiting game on his decision on what suits him best or the best deal he's trying to find?
The latter. I mean, that would probably be what it is. But I guess that's where we're at right now. Gabe Cupps.
Oh, yeah?
He was in the portal again, former IU.
Yeah, it was Ohio State. Gabe Cupps. Where's Gabe Cupps going? Indiana State? They need some players.
University of Illinois, Chicago.
He's going to UIC. Gabe Cupps is going to UIC.
Kind of feels like a fall from grace.
Yeah, you should have just gone ahead and gone to Indiana State right there. That could have helped out. Yeah, I know my friend Matt Graves. I know that they need some bodies. I mean, a lot of teams need some bodies right now, but they certainly need some serious bodies, without question. Gabe Cupps, UIC. What kind of money UIC pays?
That's the question, because I feel like he was making a lot at Indiana and Ohio State, no? I mean,
I don't know how much he was making.
You don't think?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not very much, to be honest with you. I'm guessing probably not very much. I could be completely wrong with that. He made more than we did. He'd be making more than me. You give me anything back there. You give me like free drinks at said bar. If I go to Indiana State and you go, hey man, you can drink every Wednesday night absolutely free at Cimarrons, I go, okay, let's do it.
That's your NIL deal right there.
There's my NIL deal. All right, we got that. I mentioned Denari. Greg Rakestraw is going to join us in the 4 o'clock hour. Coming up here in a couple of minutes, hopefully this happens because he's calling from Hawaii. So coming up on May the 15th, if you guys love the film Airplane, they are having a private screening and a Q&A at the Mirao National Center regarding the film Airplane. That's Julie Haggerty as Elaine Dickinson. She'll be there. And Robert Hayes as Ted Stryker. And Robert Hayes is, I think he was scheduled to join us about a minute ago, was he not?
Yeah, looking at the phone line right now, waiting on it.
I'm getting a little freaked out about this, though. You kind of wonder sometimes about this when you go a little bit off the board. Occasionally, it can burn you. But I will tell you that on May the 15th, this is going to go down at the Mirao. And it is a really good series. And I've said this before. They've had different actors, different films, different catalogs of films for these actors. They've done this in the past. This is a really good one because Airplane probably goes down in history as a top 5 all-time film comedy. And what you did is you brought on, if you guys remember, especially those of Generation X, you brought on a bunch of actors that were dramatic actors and had zero use in the past, never been a comedic actor. Yeah, Peter Graves, as I mentioned, Lloyd Bridges, Leslie Nielsen. Leslie Nielsen, you know him from The Naked Gun. You know him from all these comedies, but that was the first comedy. I mean, hell, I think Leslie Nielsen was in Breakfast at Tiffany's. That was the first comedy he was ever in, and it was an incredible idea. It was an incredible idea that played off a great film that the Zuckers put together back in 1977 called Kentucky Fried Movie, which is a cult classic. But Airplane took it to the absolute next level. And hopefully at some point on this show today, if not right now, at some point on this show today, we're looking for actor Robert Hayes, because it excites me. I like talking a little bit about stuff that we wouldn't normally do here, and that certainly is in the category of it. And fun as hell is the film. Top 5 comedy of all time. You make no mistake. It is right there. We do have a nice allotment of time. I don't know how much time he's going to have coming up on the other side. I'm kind of wondering if maybe we shouldn't hit an early break here in a moment and then come back and see if he's ready. If he's not, that's okay. But I did want to get to this. The 2026 induction ceremony is scheduled for November the 14th for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I happen to think this to be true. And you know I'm a lover of music. I'm a lover of what brings people together, not what separates people. But I'm a lover of music, and I think this, especially for my generation, which is Generation X, may be the greatest class that we have seen. Now, there may be other better bands, singularly better bands, but I would happen to argue that this might be the best class. When you look at it, it is all over the place with good reason. Now, it still should have NXS as a part of it. NXS, Michael Hutchins, the late Michael Hutchins, one of the best frontmen of all time. NXS should be a part of it, but everybody else makes a lot of sense. Oasis from the 1990s, Wu-Tang Clan, both fantastic. Phil Collins, and I'm assuming was in with Genesis already. Phil Collins, solo in, and I know I'm shocked that he wasn't already solo in. Iron Maiden, outstanding stuff. I'm a huge fan of the late Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross is in. Sade is in. And before you want to argue Sade, and I would like to argue NXS, I understand they need to be in, and I'm sure we'll find others. Sade brought us all together. Fellas, you know this to be true. You didn't listen to a moment of Sade until it came down to some serious heeing and sheeing. Sade, Billy Idol, Joy Division / New Order. We'll get into all that I think that is a tremendous class. You tell me, is he ready? On the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline right now, May the 15th is going to be a target date here. It is the start of what is going to be an incredible number of dates. It starts at the Mural Old National Center here in Indy. It is going to be a private screening and then a Q&A with the stars of Airplane from 1980, one of the greatest comedies of all time. Julie Haggerty, Elaine Dickinson will be there, and who's joining us now, the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Joining the show today, Robert Hayes, the actor, played Ted Stryker from Airplane, and Robert joins us now. Robert, thank you so much for the time this afternoon. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I am thrilled. I love this. I love what you're doing here. And I've been a part of them before. There have been some other actors with catalogs as well that have been in town for this. When this idea was presented to you, how long did it take you to say, you know what, I really would love to be a part of this?
Let's see. When they said, so this is what we're going to do. What do you think? And I said, well, let me think about it. Yes.
So
it was pretty quick.
What was quicker, you accepting the role as Ted Stryker or you accepting the tour that you're going to do starting May the 15th here in Indy?
I imagine they're probably both pretty much the same. I think instantaneous is sort of the word we're looking for here. It was the best. When I went in, I met with the guys. It was so great. We got along so great. Howard Koch and the boys and I. And then they wanted me to read. I read for them, and they liked the reading. And they said, "Well, let's screen test you." And they put me with Julie, which I guess was their plan. They had Julie first, and I guess Ted was the role. They couldn't find Ted. And they'd been all over the country, all the major cities all across the country. And so then when they tested us, I was really lucky to be able to test with her. She's so great. She's just naturally brilliant. And it was fun. It was great fun. They loved it. And so that was it.
Was there a line in that test that maybe in that audition process that put you over the top? What made, and I know that the Zuckers obviously were hugely involved in this too, but what do you think put you over the top to earn that role of Ted Stryker?
Well, they were involved because they had their right to the whole. That's what they wanted, and they, the studio. Eisner was he was just absolute brilliant. He was a great guy to work with and work for and with, and so it was basically what they wanted. There were only a couple of things, minor things. They wanted it black and white. He wanted to do it in color, so he won. They wanted it to be an old prop plane because it's an homage, to the old films. And he said, no, I want jet engines. So they did it okay with jet. But if you listen, you hear the sounds of the engines or props. And so that became an inside joke. And I think that Eisner was like, it kind of it dinged him at first, and then he realized, wow, wait a minute, they're laughing. That's really funny. So that wound up being their little rebellious way of getting back at him by putting prop sounds in. Wound up being one of the good jokes in the film.
Yeah,
but
it was amazing.
The one that got me was when they said we liked your spit take. So it was the scene with that's Lieutenant Hurwitz thinks she's Ethel Merman. And when I said, the one about the one that had passed away, and that's when I do the spit take. And I don't know, they just said, yeah, we like your spit take. That's the only thing I remember.
It's beautiful. And Robert Hayes joins us again, May the 15th, Mural, Old National Center. You get a private screening and a Q&A with Robert and co-star Julie Haggerty of Airplane. And Robert's kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline here on the ride with JMV. I'm curious, was there ever any hesitancy? Because I know, at least from what I have read, the dramatic actors that had never performed a comedic role in their life were a bit hesitant. Was there a reversal for you? Were you hesitant dealing with guys that had never been in a comedic role like this in their past lives in acting?
Not for one instant, not at all. This was my first feature film. And to me, they were great. They were funny. They really seemed to know what they wanted and everything that they suggested and everything they wrote. I mean, it was just great. I read it on a plane when I was traveling for an ABC event with a bunch of other celebrities from ABC to Minneapolis. And on the plane, I read the script because I had the meeting coming up a couple of days later. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that every single page had something on that page that made me laugh out loud. It makes, instead of just having a smile on my face, I actually made a sound. I laughed, burped out a sound or whatever. And I mean, it was just absolutely brilliant. It was the old lightning in a bottle thing,
What was the crowning achievement line in the film? Because everything from start to finish is quotable and is legendary, with one of the top 5 comedic films of all time being Airplane. But did you have a favorite line in the film? Was it one that you delivered? Was it one that somebody else delivered?
Well, I've got so many favorite lines in it, and one of them to me that always got me, and it was because it was the line and it was the way it was written and directed, but it was also the way the two actors delivered it, and that was Leslie and Peter Graves, and they were standing right behind the cockpit, and for some reason there's a water cooler right there, and they're taking sips out of the water cooler, in little cups, but they said, "How long before you can land the plane?" "I can't tell you. You can tell me, I'm a doctor." That one got me. Every time I see that, it gets me. It just cracks me up. The one that I guess is the most famous line that came out of the film that has so many famous lines, but the most famous, I think, is when I said, "Surely you can't be serious," and Leslie says, "I am serious, and don't call me Shirley." So it's that two-parter line, the setup and line.
It is. It was incredible too. I mean, it was perfect. Did it take you more than one? How many takes did it take you guys to get that one together? Because it seemed, you talk about something that stood the test of time. It's perfect.
Well, I think it seems like it was one take. Most of what we did was one and sometimes two takes, but oftentimes one take, because it was a low budget film. It's considered low budget back then. $3.5 million, even then, was considered low budget, and it was only 7 weeks to shoot it, and so we didn't have time to waste around on just messing around on things and doing take after take. One time, I remember doing a line in the scene. We shot the scene, and they said, "Cut." I said, "Okay, that's good. You good, Bob?" And I was looking at him. This was my first feature, and I didn't know if I could say anything. And I thought, well, and they said, "Well, what? You want to go again?" And I was thinking, shoot, I don't want to get in trouble here. I really didn't know how it all worked. And they said, "Okay." Well, I said, "Well, I don't want to, mess us up time-wise." He said, no, let's go again. So we went again, and they said, "Cut." And they said, "You were right. That was even better." So we did that, and that was like the second or third take. But normally it was just one take.
It's incredible stuff.
Everybody was prepped. Everyone came with their words memorized. They had everything down, what they were going to do, and it just really went well.
So Robert Hayes with us in town coming up on May the 15th. We'll explain that a little bit more in detail in a second. Do you remember at all how long it took Barbara Billingsley to come up with her lines and deliver her lines and put that to tape for the Jive Lady?
She didn't come up with her lines. Actually, it was Al White and Norm Gann, the black dudes. They went up to the boys, and they said, "Excuse us, I know we don't want to change your stuff around, but we have an idea on those lines. And could we just try something different?" And they said, "Oh, please, we're three white guys from Milwaukee. I mean, we don't know anything. Please, because all they wrote was she mofo, she mofo, she mofo. That's what the script had. And then Al and Norm had kind of worked up this routine. And Al had told me all about how they did it, and it was just great. And then they said, okay, well, now can you teach Barbara how to do it? And so they taught her and worked on it with her, and then got her all prepped, and she was great.
Yeah, and everybody remembered her at the time. Barbara Billingsley was the mother on the longtime sitcom of the late 50s, early 60s, Leave It to Beaver, and that was part of the gag in this. I just love the way that this film makes you think and puts things in order, even if it seems like, Robert, at the time it isn't.
Well, yeah, I mean, I grew up with Leave It to Beaver. I mean, that was like, oh man, I'm living in that family, you know. Yeah. They grew up in one house and have all their friends from high school. And I mean, I had the greatest family in the world, but my dad was a Marine fighter pilot. And so I don't know if you ever saw The Great Santini, when they'd wake up at 3, 4 in the morning, fill up the station wagon and head off cross country to the next duty station. And that was us 15 times across country by car. So to see Leave It to Beaver is like, wow, that cool old house. And they live in that house and grow up in that, and they never have to change. They don't have to leave their friends. And it's like, oh, that was cool. So there's, all of a sudden, there's Barbara. And it's like, wow, I grew up with her.
It is incredible. Robert Hayes, Ted Stryker from Airplane joins us. And again, coming up on May the 15th, Mural Old National Center, a private screening that you can get tickets to, and then a Q&A, which will be outstanding. Is there a most commonly asked question as far as your time with Airplane? Or I tell you what, let's flip it, Robert. Is there a question that maybe has been asked once or twice that you think is somewhat unique when somebody comes up to you and asks you about your participation as Ted Stryker in Airplane?
Wow. I don't know. They say, surely you can't be serious.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They come up to me and they say, surely you can't be serious. And the funny thing to me is someone said, oh, I love Leslie's line, surely you can't be serious. I said, well, no, that was my line.
Yeah.
Leslie said I had serious, don't call me Shirley. But yeah, that was that's a tough one.
Yeah, it just seems like it's so much, and there's not a more quotable film. And when you are in the hierarchy, Robert, of comedic films with Blazing Saddles and others like that, I mean, that is some uncharted territory right there that had to make it special. Did you feel like you had something this special as the filming went about? I think it was over maybe a month or maybe a month and a half period in the summer of 1979. Did you feel as if you had something special working on a daily basis on the set?
Yeah, well, as it went along, I thought, wow, this is really cool. This is funny. Maybe, if we're lucky, this might be like get a cult following on the college circuit. And I thought, that would really be cool if it was one that lasted so long that it became a cult classic for them, and then play over and over on colleges. And then as it start hearing around town, all in Daily Variety, every day, Army Archer in his column was saying, oh, there's another scene from this new film they're filming, Airplane, and he would describe the scene. So everyone was prepped for it. Then the word from the dailies coming back from all the studio execs, they had to play them over and over, sometimes 4 times over to, for all of the studio people to get in that wanted to see the dailies. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, it could be something even more. So then it's kind of like being in the zone. You don't want to acknowledge it. You don't want to say anything about it. And so instead, everyone just got real quiet, just focused on the work. And it was just, I enjoy going to work. Almost everything I've ever worked on. I just love getting up and going to work. But this one was like unbelievable. Just could not wait to get to work and have fun. It was just so much fun.
So I want to see if this is true in closing with Robert Hayes of Airplane, again, in town coming up on May the 15th at the Mirat. Is it true that Pete Rose was the thought that they had in mind for the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Roger Murdoch character that ultimately went to the Lakers Center back then? Is that true?
Absolutely, yeah. He was the big deal at the time, but also since we were going to be going into October in that time of the year, he's always in the playoffs or, World Series contention. And we thought, well, he's going to be probably have to take time off and can't do that. So we got to look around. Who else are we going to find here? And their old joke that they used to say is because it was 0 hour and because it was Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch.
Yeah.
Was the pilot in the old film that it was really based on. And he was the Rams running back, I believe. And he was like a national figure, like Kareem and Pete Rose. He was a national figure. They said, where can we find an athlete that can't act? Because they thought he was so stiff in the film. And that was the joke. So then they got Pete, and then they said, okay, well, Kareem, what about Kareem? And then they, got him. And now nobody can think of anybody but Kareem for that role.
Yeah, and his reference of Lanier and Walton, and it was funny. It was written in there about how he was kind of tagged as a player because a lot of people would suggest at the time he was surly, and that maybe he wouldn't every game play as hard as he could, and that was basically the line, and his counter was spectacular.
Yeah, no, he was very quiet. He's I think he's come out of his shell more ever since we did Airplane, more than he ever had in his life, I think, just from talking with him and hearing about when he was growing up and the height that always got him. When people say, how's the weather up there? That was the worst thing you could say to him. And he just hated that. He really hated that. So I think all of a sudden to have all the pilots invite him up to the cockpit and the airlines treating him the way he did. If you had me walk on, I was so well known. I was going up. They were always inviting me up to cockpits too. But I could be in a crowd of people and go in and they'd miss me. If he was in a crowd of people, you don't miss him.
Yeah.
He's the guy bent over walking through the airplane, trying to get to his seat. And so you can't miss Kareem. But he did really start getting into the fun of it, and he's a gentle soul. He's really well-read, very smart, very strong convictions. And he's a really decent human being, a really good guy. And I think that a lot of people didn't realize that. And they've come to realize that more as they see that he's relaxed and a bit and enjoys himself and has what they didn't think he had before, which was a sense of humor, and he does. So it's really great. He was really neat. He's a great guy.
I am speaking for many a person around here that cannot wait to see you and Julie coming town on May the 15th at the Mirat National Center. That's going to start your tour of a private screening of Airplane in towns throughout the country. It starts here in Indy on May the 15th. Tickets are available right now. Julie Haggerty and Robert Hayes, they will not only screen with you, but also a Q&A, just like right here, of the classic comedy from 1980, Airplane. And Robert Hayes, kind enough to join us today on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. One of these days, we got to get you back on, and we'll talk some straight sports, because I bet you can talk a little bit of sports, Robert. I'm betting.
Well, some. I'm not one of those guys. I got friends that are like encyclopedias, and they talk about so-and-so's batting average. What was his batting average on that particular day? And again, wait a minute, he had a 30-year career. What are you talking about? I've had, it's like me. I struggle learning all the lines.
Well, yeah, and that's what people think I know around here, and I don't really know anything, Robert, to be quite honest with you. I just make it all up. Hey,
well, I'll get on and make it up with you.
Anytime, man. It has been an absolute pleasure. We cannot wait to see you on May the 15th here in Indy. And here's hoping that we see you more often than just that. You've been an absolute pleasure, Robert. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I had a great time. Can't wait to see everybody.
Robert, thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Robert Hayes of Airplane. I went way over, but I don't really care. That was awesome. Podcast at 1075thefan.com. Evan Sherrill is here. Greg Rakestraw is coming up. Chris Denari also on the way. Robert Hayes, Airplane, along with Julie Haggerty. May the 15th. Get your tickets right now. I'm telling you, that guy is as personable as ever. This will be a blast. The Miral National Center, May the 15th. A private screening and Q&A of Airplane. Back with you next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Dude, most metal.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Feels the way I do about you now. This is one of those songs where everybody out there believes they can sing it, right? A winding Wonderwall by Oasis. Oasis in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as of officially November. The 2026 class is a who's who for Generation X. That is Wonderwall from What's the Story? Morning Glory, the album, and the Wonderwall song of 1995. Hopefully you did not miss Robert Hayes, who was just outstanding on this show. May the 15th. Make sure you're a part of that. Let's get a little buzz going. Robert Hayes, Julie Haggerty, Airplane, screening, Q&A. You can do VIP and meet and greet both. And as I mentioned right there, that is a good dude. That was a heller conversation. Robert Hayes, May the 15th, Miraul National Center. Get your tickets right now. The podcast will be up, 1075thefan.com. Now, quickly, we do have to hit a break, but I want to I'll bring him back on the other side. Evan Sherrill of Cluster Truck is in studio. You a big fan of Airplane over there? Go ahead and hit that mic. There you go. What do you got, Caleb? There you go.
I actually am a big fan of Airplane.
Oh, man, what a great film. That was awesome. You never really know what to expect, and that was great.
Yeah, lots of twists and turns, that's for sure. But hearing about the budget they had, that's
$3 million.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
good.
Barbara Billingsley stuff and the jive talking is just outstanding. I loved every second of that.
Big fan.
So, hey, what do you got in the bag today?
Not Korean barbecue salmon. That's an Eddie Garrison special. Regular salmon and roasted veggies, of course.
Yes.
Loaded tacos for Caleb.
Caleb,
so
loaded tacos up there for Charles Barkley's uni.
Tuesday's the best day to fill in, John.
Look at that look at that gold chain hanging down from you right there too, brother. Yeah.
That's a fact. Taco Tuesday too. So yeah, loaded tacos. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about that. Hummus, of course.
Hummus.
So yeah,
hummus is the absolute best. Well, hang out. We'll do the gist of Cluster Truck, especially as we go through April and into the month of May coming up in just a second. See, that's what happens when you have a good conversation. Like my day was going like crap in the last hour. Then Robert Hayes comes. I'm throwing fits in the hallway and getting all mad. And then Robert Hayes comes on, and everything is going to be okay. May the 15th, Miraul National Center. You can see it again with Robert Hayes and Julie Haggerty of Airplane. Get your tickets now. Evan rejoins on the other side. Greg Rakestraw top. Chris Denari, 5 o'clock hour. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield, never paint your house again. If you've noticed it is time to paint, don't do it. The ceramic coating of Rhino Shield in virtually any color will help your property, your home, or if it's commercial, residential, stand out wherever you are. Plus, the ceramic coating, it is made for this climate. It is Rhino Shield, and right now, 888 Rhino 41. You mention my name when you make that call. Get 15% off the regular price, and never paint your house again. Let them do it. Rhino 41. That's 888 Rhino 41. 15% off the regular price when you mention my name. Say, JMV sent me. That's rhinoshieldin.com, residential and commercial. Don't paint, no vinyl. Go Rhino and never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The Ride with JMV.
You droned on with useless facts and boring stats.
Your one-stop shop for sports talk.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
This would be never too much, never too much, never too much. Luther Vandross is one of my all-time favorites right here. Keep this up for a second, Caleb, would you? Luther, let's hear from you. Man, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2026, the late Luther Vandross. So did you like the original One Shining Moment, or did you remember the Luther Vandross version of One Shining Moment? We got any favorites here? Clubhouse-wise, anybody?
I just watched the first one. You know, they brought it up last week, the first ever One Shining Moment.
Yeah,
and I was
that
like,
was
man.
1987 when IU won the national title. Dwayne Shinchius, who was the 7-2 center of Florida, was the first ever. The late Dwayne Shinchius was the first ever to be on One Shining Moment. Right there. True story. Evan Sherrill of Cluster Truck is back in studio with us again. Hey, thank you for the bag, as always. And you've got big deals going on through April and then into the month of May, don't you?
Yep.
There you go.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, code Big Fan with the Fan, obviously. $5 off orders of 25 or more. We just wrapped up the pimento cheese sandwich.
How'd that go, by the way?
It was good. It was good.
Are you a big pimento cheese fan?
I personally like it with like a cracker or something like that. Well, on some white bread.
Our grandparents had us eat that back in the day.
My grandma definitely brings that around, but it's normally with a cracker or something like that. With the white bread, it's a little bit too soft of combining textures for me. But I'm happy that
now was the pimento a little bit spicy for you guys? A little bit?
No, it's not super spicy. We do make it in house. It's objectively good, but it's not my thing the way we serve it. But a lot of people like it, so just keeping it honest here.
So the rest of April and then into May, what are we talking about here?
Kevin Bowen Burger,
yeah,
Connor Daly Burger, Nate Spengel Burger. They all drop on the 20th of April and run through the end of May. They're each unique burgers for each person, and 20% of the proceeds from each of those, actually from the sales as a whole, are donated to the IU Simon Cancer Center.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
That's well done out of you guys.
Yep. And so that's in partnership with the Burger Bash and Kevin Lee, and we'll be out at the Burger Bash event on, I believe it's Thursday the 21st. Thursday, May 21st.
That's a big deal right there, man.
Yeah.
That has been long-standing, a tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I was in on the ground floor of that. I remember when that first started. That's pretty special.
Yeah, I love the event. It'll be really cool to get back out there. We'll be serving up the burgers out there.
You put a hat on the Kevin Bowen burger because he always wears a hat.
No hat on the Kevin Bowen
hat on
burger.
it?
No. But I love it when he's in here with the cluster truck hat on.
Yeah. He rocks the cluster truck. I don't have one, I don't think, do I?
You don't, but I'll bring you one. I know you're not a huge hat guy. But
I got to show off the WeGrowHairIndy.com stuff here, too. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I was up there a little bit earlier today. And a shout-out to Mackenzie that gave me the haircut. At WeGrowHairIndy.com. Yeah, it's kind of falling on the side here like I'm Andy Dufresne in Shawshank. But, yeah, she did a great job. Shout out to Mackenzie at We Grow Hair Indy at the Pyramids a little bit earlier who did the haircut. But, yeah, sometimes with the hat, if I have hat hair, I'll wear the hat.
Okay. I'll bring a cluster truck hat in the bag next week.
Yeah, we'll rock that bad boy right there, too. What else you got on the menu here in closing?
Yeah, I mean, the typical menu items, really looking forward to the new Kevin Bowen burger. We have some new wraps coming up this summer that I'm looking forward to, and yeah, just keeping it rolling.
Some changes and additions, too, to the Boilermaker coaching staff. We'll get into that and more with Greg Rakestraw coming up at the top of the hour, but clustertruck.com, Evan Sherrill is in studio with us. Thank you for the bag, and again, you get a discount if you give the promo code.
Yeah, use code BIGFAN at checkout.
Big fan at checkout. Cluster Truck. Hey, don't jack around with making a meal tonight. Go Cluster Truck. Clustertruck.com. By the way, your locations look outstanding, too.
Thank you very much. Yeah, serving everywhere from basically Fountain Square up and through Carmel, through Westfield, actually, now with our new Carmel kitchen. So check that out on Meridian Street.
Hey, JMV Cluster Truck dropping deal starting 420. You know what that means.
Oh, yeah.
420. yeah. Woo, look at Caleb getting all excited in there. Caleb's got the thumb and the index finger all rocking in there.
Had to bring some new burgers
420,
on. I hear people
man.
are hungry.
Grind that 420 out right there, man. Make some money. bad boy.
Absolutely.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Evan Sherrill, Cluster Truck. Again, big fan. Get you that discount. Do that right now. We'll come back. Greg Rakestraw on the other side. Don't go anywhere. The Boilermaker coaching staff changes. It changes, if you will. Upgrades, changes. See you, Evan. That and the transfer portal with Greg. That's next. Hey, John here for Andy Moore, Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers. His name, Eric Wilson. Eric Wilson has the deals. I'm just going to Pied Piper you to a great vehicle. It's very versatile, and it comes in different styles for the Buick Enclave model. Great deals, different styles right now. So if you have hard targeted the springtime for that new ride, this is it. The Buick Enclave, one of the hottest vehicles on the market right now. And certainly the product manufacturer, Buick, red hot as well. Great deals. You're going to get the inventory, so your selection is going to be robust. You're going to be able to take part in the service after the sale, which is the absolute best, plus the fact that they have incentives to buy, which will save you money. The Buick Enclave, brand new. My friend Eric Wilson, my friend Rob at Indiana's Best. Andy Moore, Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers.
The Ride with JMV.
This situation absolutely requires a really futile and stupid gesture be done on somebody's part. We're just the guys to do it.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
That is beautiful work over there, Caleb. By the way, Tim Matheson, get him on the show, would you? Tim Matheson, the actor. He was also Johnny Quest.
I'm 24 years old, John.
I know. I'm trying to teach you here, all right?
It's good. It's good.
I'm trying to teach you. Billy Idol is in the class of 2026 as a member now of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This might arguably be the best overall class, especially for Generation X that we've ever seen. Because there's a little bit of something that takes a piece of all of us, musically speaking, in this class. It's not just, hey, I love that band. Hey, there's the Foo Fighters. Hey, there's Pearl Jam. I love them. It's a little bit of everything, and I would agree, Where the Hell's in Excess. I would agree, hey, Toto. But this may be the greatest class, all-encompassing, and especially if you're talking about Generation X, that we've ever seen. Robert Hayes was outstanding a little bit earlier. Again, May the 15th, Mural National Center, a screening of the film Airplane, a Q&A. You can get tickets where you can meet and greet and hang out VIP style with Robert Hayes and co-star Julie Haggerty. Old National Center, May the 15th. That was awesome. That made my day right there. It really did, because you love it when somebody like that is incredibly engaged, and he was incredibly engaged. You know, I mentioned before we get to Greg Rakestraw, the maneuvering going on with the Boilermaker and Matt Painter's coaching staff in West Lafayette. Lance Jones and Sterling Carter, they're added as GAs. P.J. Thompson, who's going to be the heir apparent, associate head coach title now. Kenneth Lowe is returning to Purdue, and Terry Johnson, the assistant, will not return. So adjustments being made to the coaching staff of Matt Painter up in West Lafayette of note right there. Transfer portal news. The Colts get a safety that hadn't played in a while. Wes Reynolds sends me the Robert Hayes Angie reference, which I wanted to get into, but I just simply did not have enough time, Wes. My apologies. That was the sitcom Angie of the late 70s right there with Robert Hayes. But Robert Hayes was awesome. Thank you, Wes, for that reference. Meantime, in the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, our friend Greg Rakestraw, he does join us right now. So what would you give to, thought-wise, what you've witnessed so far within the transfer portal? What IU is doing, what Purdue isn't doing so far, because they've got everybody coming back, and Butler and other teams that you've noticed via the transfer portal to this point?
I would say that inflation is a mother because, man, salaries in college basketball are skyrocketing. Are they not? That is some serious coin you have to spend to be a top-level basketball team these days.
I'm curious. People always say this, that there's no way this is sustainable. Is it? And if so, how long will it last? Because it is only going to get more expensive as we move forward. How can this, outside of maybe a handful of teams, possibly last?
So here is what I think would be the way to potentially sustain it as it is now, and I'm not sure that's going to happen. Is A, I think you have to have some sort of collective bargaining agreement, just like you do in professional sports, and let's not couch this in any way, shape, form, or fashion. This is now professional sports. It is, flat out. And if you want to have 300 and whatever teams, 60-something, at the Division I level, good luck trying to find a way to collectively bargain things for 31 conferences or 32, I think, as of next year. But secondarily, to keep this 300 and something teams and not, say, the top 50 or 60 teams, what you're going to have to do is adopt some sort of soccer model where, I'll give you an example. Michael Cooper, Jeffersonville, going from Wright State, where he was on the all-freshman team, one of the best players on the team that won the league championship, made the NCAA tournament. He's going to go to California next year, and good for him. And my bet would be is that whatever NIL money he was making over in Dayton, probably by a multiplier of 10, he'll now make to play at California. At some point in time, to keep schools like Horizon League schools, Mid-American Conference schools, et cetera, to kind of keep them viable, you're almost going to have some sort of transfer fee agreement that goes from D2 to D1, low D1 to high D1, whatever the case may be, because I think you're going to start to see schools, even at the Division I level, contemplate, do we really need to play intercollegiate athletics? Should we be in Division III? Should we be in Division II? Maybe we go the NAI route, something along those lines. And so those are the two things. If this is going to stay kind of the playing field that we have now, I think those are the couple of things that we're going to need to kind of figure out in the next 2 to 3 years.
So would you expect the figuring out of what you just implied that basketball should do at the collegiate level right now? Do you think that'll happen?
Again, if it's going to be the same system that we have had or something that resembles it, I think those are the things that have to happen.
Yeah.
If not, my fear is what you're going to see happen is you will see the top 4 or 5 leagues break away, do their own thing, and tell basically the other 275-ish schools in Division I, hey, we're leaving, you guys figure it out. That's the direction I think.
So the top
we
5,
have some sort of collectively bargain deal.
The top 5 conferences leave, and then the NCAA is made up of what's left over.
Correct, and here's the problem: is that the funding mechanism for Division I, Division II, and Division III largely comes, at least administer sports run championships, largely comes from the men's basketball tournament. And if that gets affected, I'm not sure what the answer is for about 800 to 900 other member institutions across the country.
Yeah, I say this, and this is going to, Greg, come back to haunt me because I haven't said, hey, and been outraged and shaken my fist. I've said all along, especially with basketball, hey, it's basketball. I'll watch regardless. But one of these days, I would expect it, like you said, to be so compromised, it will completely not resemble anything that we love, even if it is basketball. And the fact that I sit here on my hands and have stated, hey, it's just basketball, I'll still love it, I'll still be there. I bet you one of these days I will regret that stance.
And logically, I feel good for these kids that are making life-changing money, that are able to help their families by doing this and playing at college level. I feel good for every one of those kids. I still don't like it big picture, and I'm not sure what the answer to that is. And that's why I think if there is some way to collectively bargain, or almost to say, in this conference you'll make X, at this level you'll make this, we're going to have this in Division I, not in Division II. You want to go, if you think you're a good Division II player and want to bump up to D1 where you can play at this level, okay, great, that's what you do. Division III will stay as it is, or it's non-scholarship, and it's kind of the air quotes here, traditional college experience. Again, you've got to figure out a way to get everybody in the room, and I mean everybody in terms of conferences, everyone in terms of the NCAA. You have to have the player's voice, you have to have the coach's voice in there, and I'm not sure you can do that. I'm not sure it's possible, but you got to try because, again, I am of the group that thinks the way this is going, it is not sustainable.
So Greg Rakestraw, kind enough to join us talking college athletics and then some on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So yesterday in Bloomington, Jaden Mustaf, Georgia Tech, over 10 a game. Darren Harris, who about 3, actually averaged probably more points a game than he did time in games, about 3 as a sophomore with Duke. And Marcus Burton is the guy that everybody knows around here from the state of Indiana that has spent time in Notre Dame. He had the 17-plus per game, but only 10 games because he was compromised due to injury. The haul for Ryan Carr and Darren DeVries, as you see it from yesterday.
Well, it's kind of like we would talk about, like when you fire a coach, you bring in a completely different type of coach. If one coach is a disciplinarian, then you go to the next coach who, is more of a player's coach. It's kind of almost the same way in roster construction. 2 years ago in Mike Woodson's final year, we said, hey, if you're going to use the portal, you went out and got guys from the ACC and the Pac-12 and it was Rice and it was Omar Ballo and guys like that. Hey, this should work. That didn't work. Last year it was more along the lines of, all right, hey, here's the mid-major all-stars plus, coach's kid who, was in the Big 12, but really, kind of came from the Missouri Valley Conference, and that'll work, and that didn't work either. So they've kind of gone back to the other model now, where you're getting more of the kids from the high major. And again, obviously we know Marcus Burton. I covered a bunch of his games in high school. I saw it at Notre Dame pre-injury, so I think there are good things there. I tend to be more of the take a wait-and-see approach, because there have been times when we say, hey, this looks good, the offseason looks good, and the regular season peters out. So I am much more, when it comes to IU at this point, of, all right, let me see what you look like 5 or 10 games in, because there have been times I thought, hey, you did all the right things in the offseason, and it didn't translate. So I like some of the moves that were made, but, again, let's see what happens in November, December, and January. We'll take it from there.
It's Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So your thoughts on Butler's progress with Ronald Norred to this point?
You still got me, sir. I'm driving through some rural country. Okay, you cut out there for a second.
What rural country are you driving through right now?
Well, brother, I figured you would check out the positive vibes. I'm on the Death Highway. I'm on I-70. I've got Indiana State and Indiana baseball in Terre Haute tonight.
Oh, my goodness. You're going to hang out with Nathan Christensen, the director of athletics over there.
That is correct. The Trees in first place in the Missouri Valley Conference through 4 of 8 weekend baseball series. My thoughts on Butler are almost kind of similar. And, again, Butler's in a different position where, I think the question for Butler is, are they going to have the resources to compete? By all accounts, last year's roster budget was at about $5 million. You heard Dan Hurley say bluntly when they played here during the season, they're going to get that to 8 or 9. Given the way that salaries, and again, that's what this is, are rising, I'm not sure that number doesn't need to be in the double digits to be competitive, even in the Big East. What you have seen in a Ronald Norred, though, is kind of a plan and looking for very specific skill sets. So, again, I think it's more of a 30,000-foot view for Butler right now than having some great knowledge in terms of individual players. But just in kind of whom they are trying to go after and the types of players they are looking to go out and get, again, at least there is a pretty reasonable plan that they're putting together. Now let's see if they can act on it.
Speaking of, I was mentioning, I think you referenced UConn right there, and obviously Braylon Mullins, the freshman. What do you think the ultimate decision is going to be for him here? Do you have any idea?
I have always thought that Braylon was going to be one and done, but I also don't think he's going to turn down a stupid amount of money to go back to UConn. My guess would be either he is going back to UConn or he is going to the NBA, and we'll see how it plays out. I've always thought that he was likely going to the league if he gets feedback from scouting departments that he can improve his draft stock and go from mid to late first round to absolute certain lottery pick, then I think he would go back to Storrs next year.
I'm telling Josh that we're talking about him right now.
Please, I'll text him. That's how I can do that while we're talking. That's
no,
fine.
wait. I was actually with a mutual friend a little bit earlier today, and we were talking about Josh, and I just brought that up, and he texted me back, and I said, Greg Rakestraw and I are going to have a conversation about you guys right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So. My guess is usually when you and I are talking, Josh is usually listening anyway. So
I hope
Josh,
so. I appreciate
right
that. We do absolutely appreciate that. It's Greg Rakestraw is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline right now. I saw this, and we'll get into the Colts a little bit more with you in just a second as well. He spent a couple of years in Terre Haute at Indiana State, and the passing of Dave McGinnis yesterday, who has been a consistent presence on this show for the past, 5, 6 or so years at least. Man, that is so difficult to take. What an outstanding guy.
And my guess is I'll hear a few stories over in Terre Haute tonight.
Yeah.
Obviously, our buddy Tom James, has become the official historian and alumni relations director for all things Indiana State athletics. So Tom's timeline has been full of Dave McGinnis stories and tweets over the course of the last couple of days. And everything that you would hear from Coach Mack on with you when he's been on has been reflected on social media by those that covered him primarily with the Arizona Cardinals. But obviously from his days doing radio for the Tennessee Titans, by all accounts, just one of the absolute good dudes in the business. And it's a shame on many levels he's no longer with us.
Bears defensive coordinator following Buddy Ryan, which certainly was big shoes to fill back in the day. And, hell, he had some great stories about those personalities as well. He was just a really good dude, and he was the same dude anywhere he ever went, which is few and far between in these days for sure.
And that's what all the folks at Indiana State would say, because obviously his tenure at ISU would be a stepping stone to much larger pastures for the National Football League. But everything that I've seen from the Indiana State folks the last couple of days is that, and clearly he talked about it on his show with you, he never forgot his roots in the Wabash Valley.
Hey, are we going to be talking like late in the season, any playoff college baseball in the state of Indiana, or is that going to fade?
Probably not. Indiana State, again, as I said, leads the Missouri Valley, but it's a one-bid league. Now, it's not just been Indiana State that's been successful out of that league. Evansville 2 years ago wins their regional. It's competitive with Tennessee. Last year, Murray State made the College World Series. I'm not sure if any of those teams in that league are going to play as deep as they have in years gone by. Purdue's got a nice run going. Indiana's kind of struggled a little bit. They got walked off on Sunday in their game, but it's probably going to take some work in conference tournament play to have us have Indiana teams in terms of the D1 tournament in the field of 64.
Nasir Adderley for the Colts was signed today, a dude that I think retired back in 2022, still youthful, certainly here, a former, I believe, second-round selection. I'm assuming this is just a test pattern being thrown out there, right?
This is the time where you kick the tires. You have 90 spots on your roster. This is worth taking a flyer on with one of those 90 spots. I'm not sure if safety is a position of need. I think there are other ones that are greater for this team. But again, on a 90-man roster, there's usually an international prospect. There's a small college guy to see if he can work it out. Why not give a guy that hasn't played in 3 years an opportunity? He's just 28 years old. Give him a look, see what he's got. Take a flyer. No risk in this whatsoever from Chris Ballard.
Positionally speaking, round number 2, 47 overall. Let's just suggest the Colts stay right there. And you don't have to come up with a name because that'd be difficult. But what about a position? What do you think they try to satisfy a need with that particular selection, if indeed they do stay there in general?
I want to say linebacker, just because there is so little that seems to be on the roster currently. However, it also appears that in a Lou Anarumo defense, that is a position that has been devalued a little bit. And again, we have to remember, I think a lot is going to be asked, and knock on wood, cross your fingers and toes, whatever, for these guys to stay healthy. They love Justin Wally, which again I think is what makes Kenny Moore to some degree expendable. They loved Hunter Wohler, and maybe now, he is almost more of a hybrid linebacker for it. He's kind of oscillated back and forth between safety and linebacker in his days at the University of Wisconsin. And so again, in terms of the positions that have been lost and not having an immediate replacement, to me, linebacker is the most glaring need of that group. Because I really think Ashton Doolin's going to get a look at more reps as a wide receiver. And again, you've also got, because of what you did last at the tight end position, you'll frankly see some more 2 tights from this team and 2 wide than you did in terms of kind of the standard 3 wide and 1 tight end for this group going forward. So linebacker would be the way I would look at it. But again, because of how this defense is built a little bit differently than Lou Anarumo, maybe they're looking at more from a pass rush standpoint.
Greg, the coaching carousel in boys high school basketball, what do you make of that so far? Some changes, some non-changes here. Anything stand out to you?
No, I mean, it's just going to be kind of, I think, the usual, wear and tear at this point. It is so much more of an ask to be a full-time head coach at that level because it is seemingly, if not a 24/7, 365 job. It's a lot closer to, 12 months than it used to be. So, the obvious departure of Garrett Weininger was going to be the headliner, of the group locally. There's some other guys that have said, hey, I'm retiring, I'm done. Andy Weaver from Plainfield, that would be of that group that certainly is notable. But in terms of the overall numbers of departures, I think so far we're going to be what's going to be kind of an average pace going forward.
Do we know what's Center Grove doing right now? I got to tell some folks when I hoop it up there a little bit later on tonight what they're doing. Do you have any idea?
I for on-air purposes, no. I do know one of the candidates they have interviewed, and because of a because of a personal relationship, I can't tell who it is.
Well, I will ask you this: Are they serious about Heath Howington of Bar Reeve after year number 1 in the championship?
That was not the person I was referencing. If I am any large school, I would be asking Heath if he wanted to go back to a, again, air quotes, bigger level, because he went from 3A in Evansville to 1A at Bar Reeve. However, you and I both know how wonderful of a job that is, and they also just won a state championship and basically bring back everybody. And so it would have to be a heck of a job offer to get him to walk away from what would likely be back-to-back state championships in a place where basketball is a big, stinking deal.
And to what you said, if I were Josh Thompson, I would not have made that move to Lagodi. With all due respect to Lagodi, I would stay in Montgomery, and I completely agree with you. The one thing that they've done, Greg, and you can attest to this, is they grind out high level for that area basketball talent, which has interest, and there is zero other than Dinkies every other Friday night. There's zero going on against it right there. There is that, I think, is one of the jewel jobs as a head coach of basketball in the state of Indiana.
Well, so to my friend Josh Thompson, again, Josh is a buddy of mine as well.
I like him too, yeah.
Right. Josh went down the road because he was offered an AD job that, again, because of great people already in place, he was not going to get at Bar Reeve. And so that's a big part of the reason why he made the move 7 miles down the road on US 50. But yes, Bar Reeve, from a facility standpoint, from a funding standpoint, from a talent standpoint, from a give a darn standpoint, they so punch above their weight. I mean, the enrollment there is about 225, 230. And their gymnasium seats between 2,500 and 3,000, and they pack it every night. That is a great job. And so, again, it would take a lot to pry somebody away from there.
I, by the way, do now know who you referenced, but you didn't mention. I do now know that. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how to put this. I would – I don't know anything, right? I don't know anything. I'm not an AD, and they do a hell of a job. And you know how much I love Eric Moore down there and what he does in the football program. But I probably would have been a little bit more open than, hey, come to us. Because you guys haven't done squat in a while. I wouldn't have put it that way. I would have been more open to wanting to reach out and talk and hard target the person that I wanted, as opposed to, hey, you know what? This is a great gig on the south side right here. We're CG. Come to us. That wouldn't have been me.
Well, I would phrase it this way.
Yeah.
That my concern for that job is not facilities, is not resources, is not talent. It's getting everybody going in the same direction. And that would be the big concern about that job.
Well, I think if you have that concern going in, you better not take it. Honestly.
Right, correct.
You better not take it. It's just why I just thought, man, go out and find who you want and bring them in and have a resurgence in this program. I have so much respect for people around. Like a friend of mine, Ryan Harden, is an assistant there. I know how hard he goes about his daily routine of caring about that program and wanting to make it better. And as much as I like Zach in what he was there, you got to be better at that place. There's no way the results that we have seen are going to last. And I just think I would have gone about it a little bit differently. But, I mean, who am I to say, because I'm not in that particular position?
Well, I tell you what, text me during the break, and I'll tell you if you guessed the right person. How about
I
that?
know exactly. I guessed the right person, and I think I think I know the outcome. I'm trying to figure it out because I'm going to have answers for people I hoop with coming up later on tonight, Greg, and I have zero answers right now, none.
Just yell short like you always do. You're fine.
Well, I will say this too on Saturday, and a shout out to our good friend as we go to a break here, Brendan Dudas, who is the baseball coach at Southport, that unfortunately was digging down on 6'8" Dusty Baird and caught an elbow in the eye socket and had to go get stitches on Sunday morning. Stitches for Dudas.
I have seen the war wounds on Facebook, and Dudas looked like he wore one in practice the other day.
But you'd be happy to know that I gave him a get out of jail free, it's okay, excused wussy absence card because he had to miss excessive blood loss is an excused absence for hoop, so it's okay.
Listen, this man dug a boulder out of his backyard last year. Okay, his man card is just fine. Nothing to worry about.
I love those guys, man. Baird felt so bad, man. I did, and it was Dudas. Dudas was digging, man. He was digging down on a big man. And sometimes you catch that high elbow. You know what I mean?
He should learn to stop digging. Last year, an entire month working on a lot. Now it cost him his eyesight in his left eye for a week.
His lovely wife has suggested that is the last time he digs on the big man on the low post.
Fair
That's
enough.
it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go. Yes, sir.
Greg,
yes,
I appreciate you, brother.
See ya.
So Greg Rakestraw, the Eddie Moore Automotive Group hotline. Quick break. We'll come back. Denari, top of the hour. Robert Hayes, the actor from Airplane, a little bit earlier. If you missed any of that, the podcast, 1075thefan.com. Play-in scenarios tonight of the NBA. A pair of games. We'll get to that. Caleb's in for Nathaniel, who is in for James on this Tuesday. Thank you all for joining us. It's 93.5, 1075 The Fan. Hey, John here for Premier Weight Loss. I was up there a little bit earlier today. Hey, shout out to Lauren. I was hanging out with Lauren. I was hanging out with Sam and the gang at Premier Weight Loss, kind of finding out where I am, but also looking at some other things that they offer now. GLP-1 weight loss injections, that's where I start. 80 pounds later, I feel incredible. I've turned back the clock multi-decades because of that, and you can too. You can expedite the process just in time for the summer if you start on your own weight loss journey right now if you work alongside. It's not something you just go, hey, inject, I'm going to sit back and relax. Now, you change up the lifestyle, your diets, you do things right, you start working out, and you will see the results and see them quickly with Premier Weight Loss. Best part about it, they're going to keep you on track. They're going to keep you goal-oriented, just like Sam does for me at pwlindy.com or 317-643-4444. Ask them about the cosmetic procedures they have, too, from Botox to skin tightening. That's the Morpheus skin tightening technique they have, and the electronic toning machines that they have at Premier Weight Loss. They offer absolutely everything on your weight loss journey. Get started today, 317-643-4444 online. That's pwlindy.com. Hey, John here for Premier Deck Coating. You want your property to look incredible? Start with your outdoor living space. For example, your back deck. Maybe it's chipping, it is peeling, and you don't have to mess with this all the time. The chore of staining or painting, Go with Ron and Premier Weight Loss. Virtually any color helps repel moisture, adds scratch resistancy, and just makes everything look better. Your outdoor living space this time of year into the summer is really special to you. So make it look special. Take away a lot of the worry and a lot of the work for you, and then give that opportunity to Premier Deck Coating to make your property look incredible. Get that free quote today. Call Ron at 317-696-4071. That's 317-696-4071. Also with fences and pergolas, virtually any color. That's Premier Deck Coating. 317-696-4071. Online, premierdeckcoating.com.
The Ride with JMV.
JMV does not suck at all.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Now we're going to smooth it out right here. I'll request Saturday Night JMV Takeover. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2026 class and Sade, Caleb.
That's how you pronounce it, yeah.
Yeah.
Messed that up in the break, sorry.
It's all good, man. Let this roll right here. A Heian and Sheehan special right there with Sade back in the day. Oasis, Wu-Tang Clan, Phil Collins, Iron Maiden, Luther Vandross, Sade, Billy Idol, and my personal favorite, Phil Collins is right there too, but I love Joy Division / New Order, and probably New Order more than anything. I happen to think that 1987 and Substance from New Order is the absolute best, the most badass. But you can make the argument. I mean, how can you get better than Phil Collins? My argument is this. This is the greatest class, all-encompassing, that we've seen. It may not be the greatest band, singular band, but the greatest class we have ever seen. With those inductees. And even if you don't like the fact that NXS is left out, I would agree with you on that. Greatest class we've seen. Harrison from the South Side chimes in on this. Definitely heading to Franklin Central tonight to play Dudas's team. We'll be sure to ask him about this at the plate meeting. So we got FC and Southport in baseball tonight. Dudas took an elbow to the eye socket on Saturday, and it exploded, and blood exploded everywhere.
It's physical.
I gave him a wussy pass because he got to play half a game. But I understood there was excessive blood loss, so it was an excused absence when he left to go to the doctor to get stitches. Otherwise, it's not excused. Like our guy Rob got bit by a dog or something. Hell, that's no excuse. Get your ass in there, dog biter.
Yeah, you can tell some of the NBA players that are sitting out games,
Oh,
John. We show up.
I don't know. I'm on a text. What's it called? Group text with all these guys. Listen, I browbeat. You show up. If my ass is showing up after I'm up until 2 a.m. every Saturday night and getting up at 6:30 and rolling in there, then I don't want to. I want to hear I had too many Zimas or too many hard seltzers or anything like that. All right, none of that. Get your ass up and get in there. If the 56-year-old man is doing it, if I have to go in there and play alongside Mike Landis, then you all do. Everybody has to put up with that. Everybody. But, Dudas got some stitches. And a shout-out to him. Yeah, the head coach of the Southport baseball team.
Well, John, I was telling you, I was like, hey, when am I going to get the invite to come Hoopage? But I don't know if I want to now.
I think you can do
too physical.
We're playing tonight. You want to go tonight?
I would be down.
Let me see let's see. Somebody text Rick Clark. Do we need somebody? And can Caleb join us tonight?
Come on.
I'm going to text him right now. Can producer, because I don't know. I haven't heard from James yet. Producer Caleb join. James has been playing on Tuesday.
We've talked about that on the morning show, and I filled in. I know.
What about James? What about Boyd here? I'm assuming Boyd is going to go tonight.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, all right. I just sent that out to the group.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
So you can go. You geared up and ready to go?
I got my shoes in the car. I'm always ready.
Hey, I'm going to tell you what. If you rock that gold chain, you'll look like Rick Clark. Rick Clark looks like Cool Mo D I'm out there playing with all the time. You guys, you gold chains can guard one another.
Come on now.
You got him. You got the
like
gold
it.
Chains. Matching up with the gold chains. Hey, if you missed the show a little bit earlier, Robert Hayes from Airplane 1980, they're going to have this is going to be a screening. I mentioned private screening. I don't know how private it is because it's open to the public if you pay to get in, but I guess you could kind of call it a private screening. They're going to screen Airplane from 1980 and then a Q&A, and you can VIP this up and go meet the actors. Julie Haggerty was a co-star, and Robert Hayes was the star. Robert Hayes joined us a little bit earlier. And that podcast at 1075thefan.com. I get to do a lot of cool things on this show and then on Saturday night every week. That was one of the cooler things that I've done. That made my day, if not my week. Because there's so many things. I was 10 years old when that film came out, so it was very meaningful. And when you have a film that is described as a top 5 comedic film of all time, it is right up there with Blazing Saddles. That is rarefied air. And to get this, to talk to the star of that made it pretty special. So I got a shout out to the Mural National Center people. I think Andy Wilson may be a part of that as well, who set that up. But it was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Matthew writes this. So JMV, I was playing at NIFS around 2000 or so. Todd Lindemann, Mark Pope, and Rick Smits were on the floor. I knew to keep one eye on Lindemann's uncoordinated elbows the entire time. I think shout out to Todd. I think Todd lives down in Martinsville right now. Yeah, you don't be digging down defensively on the 6'8" baseball player. Yeah, we love Dusty, by the way. I should give a shout out as well, because I remember talking to his sister last year, Dusty Baird's sister, who played for the Indy Ignite. She doesn't this year, but they're having a fantastic volleyball year at the Fishers Event Center. So a shout out to the Indy Ignite for what they're doing. JMV, the wife and I measure how good an artist is by how far we can roll on a road trip without having to change the station. Phil Collins is high on that list. You know, it's probably easy to find this. In terms of Phil Collins, is there a Phil Collins song that you would change the channel for? I have one immediately off the top of my head. And it was kind of weird. It was during a time in the early 80s when kind of 50s / rockabilly was really popular. If you remember, Queen went Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Brian Stetzer and Stray Cats, they were hitting it big, and you kind of had this 50s rockabilly stuff. And if you remember, Phil Collins went with the song You Can't Hurry Love. I don't like that song. I would change, if Phil Collins and You Can't Hurry Love comes on, I would change that. But I would agree with you. Basically anything else, Matt, from Phil Collins solo, from Phil Collins in Genesis, to Phil Collins, who also did, if you remember, he did a great deal of duets. Mostly everything else will play. I'm not a big fan of the song That's All by Genesis. So That's All and You Can't Hurry Love would be two songs. But no, Matt, you and your wife were on the same page with me right there. That catalog, when you're on the road and you don't have to change anything and you go from same artist, song to song, it's pretty amazing. And I don't know what anybody has to say negatively about Sussudio. And the whole album, No Jacket Required. Really, the album No Jacket Required is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame worthy in itself. Just elite level stuff. Heat Hornets tonight, 7:30. The LaMelo Ball postseason experience up there for you. The 9-10 game in the East coming up later on tonight. The Heat and the Hornets, the Blazers and the Suns in the 7 and 8. Now, are you a Suns fan, or are you just rocking that for the throwback Barkley Suns look?
I got a good jersey collection, John. I'm not a Suns fan, so when it can relate to events that are taking place on the NBA calendar, I like to bring some of it out.
Do you play hoop like Tom Chambers did in a Suns uniform back in the day? You know who Tom Chambers is?
I wish I did.
Tom Chambers was a badass dude, man. He was a badass. Both the Suns and the Sonics. You look up Tom Chambers has the dunk over Mark Jackson where basically his neck is up on the rim.
Yes, that's the first picture that popped up.
Yeah, it should
dunk.
be. It is one of the greatest dunks of all time right there. Tom Chambers. All right, Denari at the top of the hour, a little NBA, and why my belief in Tyrese Haliburton is so high level. Regardless of coming back from an Achilles, being a year later, fighting through shingles, and the weight gain that has come along with that, I am secure in my belief of Tyrese Haliburton. Yeah, the WNBA draft was last night. Raven Johnson. Got that coming up a little bit later on, the WNBA draft for 2026. Really, when you think about it, though, I think that the Fever are kind of all set. But, yeah, whatever, 10th overall. Actually, 3 rounds of selections last night. We shall get to that a little bit later on. And more of the Pacers and the NBA postseason. Chris Denari is going to join us after 5. Stream the app, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Stay right there. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. I absolutely love the District Tap, and I know you do as well. 2 locations, Clearwater Crossing on the north side, downtown Indy. When you're doing the downtown experience, that is the epicenter of fun. TVs everywhere, incredible happy hour specials daily, and damn good food. By the way, they have event space. They have live music, too. The entertainment value is high level, but any game you want to see in multiple games are going to be on. Now, for those of you that are holed up maybe on the north side of Indy or in Hamilton County, the perfect location is Clearwater Crossing. Ask for Sammy, the server. Sammy, the bartender/server, is awesome, and you will love it again because of the happy hour specials, the damn good food, the private rooms, the event space. You can hold parties in there. It is a destination location for fun. It's the District Tap, and you're fortunate you've got two locations, Clearwater Crossing on the north side and in downtown Indy. To find out more online, that's thedistricttap.com. Oh, JMV here. It can be problematic. So all of a sudden your energy is zapped. Hey, you feel like you're losing confidence, gaining weight. Maybe the feeling in the bedroom is not there any longer. Let's turn that frown upside down, everybody here. You could be having a low level of testosterone. Yeah, even if you're a woman. Testosterone is one of the hormones that controls energy, confidence, and sex drive for both men and women. And when testosterone is low or unbalanced, it drains your energy, alters your mood, affects your body, and decreases your sex drive. You want to find out what you can do? You want to find out if your testosterone is not on balance? Here's how you do it. You can do it for free. Through the month of April, Synergenics and Low T Center, they're offering free testosterone testing for both men and women. It is that simple. Book your appointment online right now. FixMyLowT.com. That's FixMyLowT.com. Man or woman, get your free T test. Book it today. That's FixMyLowT.com.
The Ride with JMV.
You want to hear our signal? That was our signal.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Phil Collins in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist here. As I mentioned, solo, Genesis, and with the duet like right here with Philip Bailey and Easy Lover. One of the greatest to ever do it. 2026 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Phil Collins. Phil Collins actually fell in love with the sound of Earth, Wind, and Fire. So if you go back to the early 1980s, you can find some tracks of Phil Collins that have, and Genesis that have the Earth, Wind, and Fire horns, kind of the funk sound influence in it. Phil Collins. I know you would say, well, why is this guy not already in? I'm not sure, but this is, to me, the greatest group that we have seen. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2026. That's your class, including Phil Collins. JMV, I heard you talk about this before. Born to Bowl, a 5-part HBO documentary series. Did you happen to watch it? I did. I think the finale was last night. I've had somebody on the show before. I just can't remember who it was. I don't think it was Kyle Troop, and it wasn't Jason Belmonte, who is Australian. I don't think E.J. Tackett's from Huntington, Indiana. I think E.J. Tackett is like the number one bowler in the world right now. It was produced by actor Ben Stiller. It is pretty good stuff. And you'll find out that a lot of these guys are from around the Midwest. Kyle Troop is from Louisville. His father was Guppy, and was also a really good bowler. Anthony Simonson is another one. It may have been him. I can't remember who I've had on. There's some good stuff. A 5-part HBO documentary series, and it starts at Woodland Bowl in Carmel with the U.S. Open. I believe Cameron Crowe, one of the bowlers, got arrested after that for, like, drug possession or something, like during the filming of this. Not actually something you witnessed during the series, but I believe that happened during the filming of the series. Cameron Crowe is that guy's name. But E.J. Tackett, you'll have to look this up. I believe he is from Huntington, Indiana, and if not the best bowler, is arguably the best bowler going. E.J. Tackett. Caleb, is that true?
August 7th, 1992 in Huntington, Indiana. That's
what
right.
I thought, and owns a bowling alley up there. He is very good.
27 PBA Tour titles, which is 10th most all time.
These guys don't make too much cash for winning those things, and it is all or nothing. You either win it or you get some cash or you get jack squat.
You ain't getting NIL deals, huh?
No, you're not getting anything like that. Born to Bowl is pretty good. And there was some local flavor in there, if you would like to check it out.
Speaking of documentaries, JMV, I just finished the Soul Power ABA documentary on Amazon. Don't know if you watched it, but...
You were not around here when so many of the ABA players were in the other building. So they had a fundraiser, and Robin Miller, the late Robin Miller, was a part of that.
Oh, wow.
For those that were still around that participated in the ABA. And Artis Gilmore was there. I got to sit with Artis Gilmore and George Gervin. It was awesome.
That's amazing.
Absolutely awesome. But what did you think about the documentary? The ABA was fantastic.
I would say this. They spent a whole, in episode 2, I think it was a whole segment of the episode was about the Pacers ABA teams and how much this community embraced them. I learned a lot that it wasn't up until recently that the players got their pensions and like a fundraiser was started around here, actually.
And the NBA resembles more the ABA than their brand of basketball prior to the ABA players going into the NBA. That's what's so funny about it.
Fashion, all that stuff.
Three-point shot.
Yes.
All of that. And you think about it today, there's like what the NBA was playing with the mid-range. There's no more mid-range. You have the slam dunk of the three-point shot. That is all due to the ABA.
Absolutely it is. So we learned a lot. I thought it was very, very good.
For you, man. Look at you learning all the time over there.
Old soul, you know?
Caleb. What was that? What is it on?
It's on Amazon Prime.
All right, Amazon Prime. Where I think most of the postseason games here at the beginning are going to be on. Are these games tonight on Amazon Prime?
The first, there's 2 tonight, 2 tomorrow. Yeah, it's something maybe for Chris Denari coming up here in the next segment. They're not doing hometown broadcasts for the playoffs in the first round, you know.
Not at all, yeah.
For any of them. So I think that's an interesting thing that's going on.
If you remember, the Pacers, I think, went through the first round.
First round was local. You could do the local broadcast option, but you can't do that anymore. So kind of hate it.
They're going to find ways to blank it up, aren't they?
Yep.
Don't blank it up. Michael Ross says, stitches. Our boy got stitched with no numbing and went out and still took third in the tournament. How many stitches have you had in your lifetime?
0.
No stitches ever?
None. But if I play basketball tonight, maybe we'll change that. So.
I've been opened up a lot. I've had stitches in the leg, stitches in the head. I had staples in the side. I had kidney surgery, so that was, Staples. I even had staples back then. I think they were stainless steel.
Dang.
There's probably still something in me.
Rattling around.
A lot of staples and stitches back in the day right there. Michael, shout out to the kid right there. Nice. Quick break. We'll come back. Denari on the other side. The start of the postseason, the play-in games begin coming up later on tonight. A part of the Eastern and Western Conference NBA landscape. Chris Denari, that, Pacers, and a lot more next. Hey, John here for Love Heating and Air Conditioning. You know what I did? I called Kendra today. I said, Kendra, I've got to have the gang come over, and they're coming over on Friday to give my system a checkup. On Friday, because I'm going to get it checked up. I'm going to make sure that I am good to go for the consistently warmer temperatures ahead. You should do the same thing. Now, for you, this is what can happen. Let's say we find out that your system needs a repair. It's not quite doing what it should, working the way that it should. You mention my name, and they're going to give you $144 off the service fee just by mentioning my name for any repair with Love Heating and Air. That's Kendra at 317-353-2141. In fact, call right now. Say, hey, Kendra, JMV told me to call 317-353-2141. Get that system checked up before it's too late. You won't have to be dealing with it when it happens. Get in front of it. John and Chris Love at Love Heating and Air. Mention my name, $144 off the service fee for any repair with Love Heating and Air. 317-353-2141 online, love-hvac.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
And the rags to riches story for Indiana football
comes the conclusion. What a football team.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Caleb is over there. Look at you going with the Wu-Tang.
I listened to a little Wu-Tang.
Did you you got the clean version here, right? Did you?
I
hope
do.
You did.
And
yeah.
the hand over the dump button, just
It
in case.
always freaks me out when I do that on Saturday night, if I've got the clean versions or not of this. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2026. And before you say it, all right, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is all-encompassing in music. Now, we can debate who should be in there, who's not in there. But let's celebrate the music. Let's not be pissy about the genres that are a part of it, because music's for us all and for us all to enjoy. I know it says rock and roll. Maybe it should say the music hall, whatever. We all know what it's about, and it's about the music, no matter what the genre might be, that we have enjoyed the absolute most. Really good 2026 class. Robert Hayes, the actor of Airplane, a little bit earlier. We got that for you. I'll recap that. Also, Greg Rakestraw. Bobby Marks tomorrow of ESPN, the former NBA general manager, has an article about the future of the Pacers. And a part of that future of the Pacers, their play-by-play voice, who would much rather be working right now than I'm sure talking with us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. It is Chris Denari. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Hey, John, how are you doing?
I will say this. It is going to be weird with all this Amazon Prime stuff happening early on in this. Really weird for me.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be weird. And you know, the other piece is this is the first year that with the new deal they signed, there's no local telecast for the playoffs. Everything's national. So in the past, you know, the last 2 years, we were able to do the first-round playoff series against Milwaukee. Now those have gone away. So, yeah, the whole play-in tournament is on Prime. Saturday, I believe the first 3 games of the day are on Prime, and then ABC has a Saturday night game. So, you know, they've done a great job, though. I've really enjoyed watching the telecast. You have Ian Eagle, Kevin Harlan.
Yeah.
I think their studio group has done a really good job. I've enjoyed Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki and Blake Griffin and that type of thing. So it's different. But I think they've done a good job with it.
Listen, the personalities, you're absolutely right. Great. But the platform, is the platform helpful? Obviously, monetarily speaking, I'm sure it is helpful. But is it helpful to get the most eyeballs on the product at the time of year in which you want the most eyeballs on the product?
Well, that's the interesting piece, John, right now when you look at streaming versus cable and now I use the word cable lightly because, for instance, I have DirecTV Stream, and then, of course, there's YouTube TV. They are not cable, but they're internet-based, but it's still like cable. But a lot of people don't have that. I would think that, you know, the strength of Amazon Prime is, I don't want to say most people have Prime, but a lot of people have Prime. And it's not just to watch movies or TV shows. It's to have your packages delivered to your driveway every day. So I think from a Prime standpoint, I'm going to guess that a majority of the people have it, and you don't have to pay anything extra on top of whatever your, you know, I pay it by the year. I think every July, you know, I pay my Amazon Prime for the year. But that doesn't just cover watching games or watching movies. That's for the packages to be delivered to my house.
So Chris Denari, the voice of the Pacers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I'll tell you what, we'll double back to the play-ins tonight and the rest of the beginning of the NBA postseason. But I want to bring up Tyrese Haliburton because I am a believer in Tyrese Haliburton. He is the major factor as to why I think that this gap season is going to go from elite level gap season and winning only 19 games to back once again to the elite level. I did want to bring this up, though, and the Achilles injury is obviously the worst case scenario anywhere to any athlete, certainly basketball players. But it didn't seem like yesterday when he met with the media that this whole shingles saga was really too far behind what he has gone through in terms of dealing with and recovering from that Achilles injury, which is a bit frightening, I think, Chris.
Well, the good thing was here at the end of the year was to see him back on the bench. I mean, he was with the team right up until the All-Star break, and then we were on the road in Washington, D.C., and we got word that, Tyrese had come down with a case of shingles and wouldn't be around the team for anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. And, yeah, it's nothing to shake your fist at. I mean, that's why a year ago, I'm 65. I got both of the vaccines. You do one early and then one late.
Well, there's a vaccine out there for that? I didn't know.
Well, yeah, for shingles.
Well, I better. I had it back in 1988 in my armpit area, but it wasn't long lasting. So maybe I should get the vaccine.
No. Yeah, I mean, that's what Tyrese said. He said, hey, I really encourage people to get it. We had good friends of ours. A friend of ours' wife was in the hospital for a week, dealing with shingles over a year ago. So, I guess the good news is, John, it's still bothering him a little bit, but I thought it was great that he met with the media yesterday. We've seen him on the bench. He addressed the crowd prior to the game on Sunday. And the good news is it's April, right? And training camp won't start until around the 1st of October. I think his bounce back from the Achilles is going to be excellent. I look at what Jason Tatum has done. I just think the way the technology and all those things that have dealt with the Achilles, it's a lot different than it was a number of years ago. In fact, he said that's really not a bothersome or a worry at all. It's just him trying to get through, the shingles.
Yeah, what pain. That I remember it was a pain for me, but nothing like, again, the saga that evidently he's gone through since that was announced.
Yeah, I mean, it was, if I look back in mid-February, it was a little bit shocking to know that a 25 or 26-year-old would get shingles, and it's based on what chickenpox or the measles or one of those that lays dormant in your body. That's why, like I said, my physician, a year ago said, hey, you really need to get this. My wife got it as well. It did nothing to her. She got both of her vaccines and was fine. I got mine, and for 24 hours each time, I felt like I had the flu. So I just laid in bed with the dogs, and 24 hours later, I felt fine. So I just know that that's something as best as possible I don't want to mess with.
What to you, and I mentioned this in video yesterday, and again, I've been talking about it so far today. My belief in Tyrese Haliburton is probably at the highest level of anybody around here. I just think he happens to make players better, all players better, no matter what players we're talking about. What's your expectation upon his return once he gets back from all of this? And I want to start with something that I love, and I love the past couple of years, their pace of play. Now, are we going to see a decrease in that pace with, Zubats and that effect and the direction they're going right now? Or are we going to see the same? What would be your expectation for a Tyrese Haliburton-led team coming up next year in terms of the pace of play and the offensive outlook?
Yeah, when I watched this team, and again, Ivica Zubats only played 5 games, but I saw him really busting it down the floor in transition. This was a team that the last 2 years, because of Tyrese Haliburton, was at the top of fast break points and pace and all those kinds of things. And this year, that was different. It was different before they made the trade for Ivica Zubats. But I think you get back to the combination in the backcourt that you saw each of the last 2 years prior to this year, Haliburton and Nembhard. They can play at a pace together that I think is very beneficial to the way the Pacers want to play. Tyrese at times can play off the ball. Andrew can handle it. Andrew can play off the ball. Tyrese can handle it. So I just think the Pacers are going to be able to get back to doing the things that they want to do. It may be a little bit different than it's been, but I think there are so many positives from a rebounding standpoint, I heard you talking about it yesterday. Offensive rebounding has been really something that the Pacers haven't been very good at over the last few years. I think Zubats helps you in that regard. He can get rebounds, kick it out. The other thing that I was impressed with in just the 5 games that he played is his ability to take up space on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. And I think that will create better opportunities, better shot opportunities, and on the other end, I think can really help players defensively.
How magnified is next year in terms of those that played significant minutes in games? Not every game, but as we saw in a 19-win season, just the comeback from that, because we've heard so many, especially Pascal Siakam, speak out and say, you know what, this season really sucked. How much of the motivation going through this is helpful for a team that I guess we would consider, you and I here, already having an elite level Eastern Conference NBA squad? It seems like that you have even more motivation for a group that seems to be loaded up and ready to go.
I think so, and I think Pascal Siakam said it the best. He said we have to play with anger. We have to play with rage. But at the same point, I think the way they handled it this year, going through a tough season, this team is very close. They didn't point fingers. They didn't separate. And I think that was a big factor, John, just being around them. Yeah, nobody was happy with what the record said, but I think the way they went about their business, and I think you're going to look at some players. I mean, let's take Jarris Walker. Jarris Walker probably won't play the same amount of minutes that he played this year, but can he be effective in shorter stints and still do some of the same things that we saw this year? I mean, he had the best year of his NBA career. So I think a lot of guys got an opportunity to play and play significant minutes that hopefully will give them confidence moving forward in maybe a little bit different role.
Yeah, I kind of wonder how this is all going to work out. So do you feel any differently about that trade deadline deal if the good fortune on Mother's Day with the ping pong balls is not there for the Pacers, Chris?
Well, I think you heard what I found very interesting. And again, we've not heard from Kevin Pritchard or Chad Buchanan, but I think what Rick Carlisle said the other day was, look, if it doesn't work out that there's not a pick in the first round, you don't have 1 through 4, there's some other opportunities that the Pacers have to try to improve their roster and do some other things. So I think that's one of the things that I'm sure they're looking at. You can't just plan, just focus all that you're going to have 1 through 4, because if you don't get 1 through 4, you've got to have other options. But if they can get 1 through 4 and add on to, as you said, what I believe is a Eastern Conference title contending team and hopefully a championship contending team, that would be all the more sweeter.
Yeah, I kind of look at it that way. I look at it a little bit differently because I look through the 19-win in a season slog as you're owed that. And I know that they've gambled it, and that's the position that they're in. But I feel like you're owed a high lottery selection here. I will be disappointed. I'm not suggesting that Zubats is not going to look good with this team. I think he's going to go to the glass. I think he has an offensive rebound, give them extra opportunities that they've never had before. Now, minus obviously the pick and pop situation that he does not bring offensively to the arsenal. I think that they're going to benefit from him certainly on the glass on both ends. But I will be incredibly disappointed if you don't get that infusion of young talent and be able to secure a top 4. Incredibly disappointed.
Yeah.
There's no way around it for me.
No, and I think what you have to look at is they felt like, and I truly endorse this. I think you get a top 5, top 7 center in Ivica Zubats, somebody that's going to fit right in, pick and roll, all those kinds of things with Tyrese Haliburton. And if you don't get 1 through 4 and that pick falls and it's 5 through 10 and let's say the Clippers get number 10, I'm sure that's going to be a good player, but is that a game changer for you? And I think that's the way the Pacers looked at it. Look, we believe 1 through 4 is a game changer. And maybe 5 through 10 is just another really good first round pick. And they were absolutely willing to roll the dice to get a quality big man in Ivica Zubats, who, one, has a couple years left on his contract. It's a very solid, favorable contract, and he fits the timeline with this group.
So Chris Denari, he's the voice of the Pacers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Couple play-ins later on tonight, the Heat and the Hornets, the Blazers and the Suns. Any interest? Obviously, we talked about the platform in which we can watch them tonight, but any interest in either of these teams making more than just a feudal wave here moving forward, starting with tonight?
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Charlotte's one of the, probably highlighted stories of the year. We ran into them early in the year when they won like 9 or 10 straight on the road, adding Con Knipple and the rookies that they have. I think Charles Lee's done a terrific job as the head coach. So I'll be interested to watch that. John, I've said this. I think what's going to be interesting about these playoffs is what happens to the teams that don't advance either to the NBA Finals out of the East or the Eastern Conference Finals, right? Only 2 teams can play in the Eastern Conference Finals, and only 1 can play in the NBA Finals. So let's look at, what happens if New York, Cleveland, I think Boston's the favorite. I like Detroit, but they've not been through this situation before. I mean, they have one guy, I think, in Tobias Harris that has playoff experience. I mean, last year they were in the first round of the playoffs. But Orlando, what happens to Miami if they get beat tonight and all of a sudden they're eliminated out of the play-in? Do they make a play for Giannis Antetokounmpo? I find fascinating what's going to happen to those franchises and teams that don't advance. And so I'll be watching that almost as carefully as I'm watching these games.
Do the Heat have what it takes to make that deal? And I've always felt this, and this was kind of a dart at a dartboard. The moment that Miles left here, I said one of these days he's going to be playing alongside like Karl Anthony Towns and Miles McBride in Milwaukee because Giannis is going to leave because he's going to get traded to the Knicks. And that's the kind of scenario that you bring up right now is something like that, where they have massive disappointment and they want to add what they believe is the top of the line. I don't even know if they can, but it speaks to that situation and how that's going to look, because really in Milwaukee, they don't have any answers right now. And they don't have, Chris, any answers for the foreseeable future.
No, and just reading, I just read the column in The Athletic from their beat writer, and it sounded like it was chaos there all year long. Just not the Giannis Antetokounmpo chaos, but with Doc Rivers and the veterans and those types of things. So, I think all that's going to be fascinating just to see how it all takes shape as we look ahead to the 26-27 season. There are a lot of, look at the West. Minnesota, like Indiana, has been in the Western Conference Finals each of the last 2 years. I don't think a lot of people realize that. And who do they have to play in the first round of the playoffs? Denver, Nikola Jokic. So there are some fascinating first-round matchups. Lakers in Houston. Lakers without Doncic and Austin Reeves right now. We've lived through this the last couple of years, watching these matchups. And while I wish that I was at Gainbridge Fieldhouse watching this, I'm still going to be very intrigued about what happens in the playoffs this year, and it will set the table for 26-27 as well.
I definitely think you're right about this. The Celtics, to me, I'm with you on that. The Knicks could be transitional unless, I guess, you blame Mike Brown for their circumstances if they disappoint. The Cavaliers are on the verge of, okay, what do we do if they're bounced early? And then you have the up-and-comers, for example, like the Atlanta Hawks and the type of season that they have had. Like, everybody wants to talk about Charlotte and how dangerous they are. I look at the Hawks and how dangerous that squad can be.
Yeah, and then you look at the hand that Philadelphia has. I mean, Paul George is playing well right now, coming back from his suspension. Tyrese Maxey is outstanding. Yet here's their big guy, Joel Embiid, who has an appendectomy. And so he's out for a while. So that's what's crazy is you go through a whole 82-game season, and it looked like, from a Lakers perspective, they were really rolling. Think about it. They played the Pacers twice in the last, 3 weeks of the season, and I was super impressed with the way that they were playing. And then all of a sudden, you take Reeves and Doncic off the floor, and they're just another team. So that's the grind of an 82-game, 6-month schedule But it's going to make for a fascinating postseason.
Yeah, it will. Chris Denari wishes he was more a part of it, but alas, we'll see what happens next year to get Tyrese Haliburton back into basketball shape. And I got to remind people, too, and including myself, that it's not all going to happen. Like, I think people are going to see this season start in October and expect the best right then and right there. You have to remember how long it took for those prior 2 good seasons before the gap year to really take shape and take form over the course of those successful campaigns. It's not going to be instantaneous by any stretch.
Well, think about last year. I mean, they were 11-15 before the first of the year. Who would have anticipated at that point they would make a run all the way to Game 7 of the NBA Finals? So you're right, and I think that's the mindset. I think that's the leadership that Pascal Siakam, Tyrese, T.J. McConnell, Obi Toppin. You've got a lot of veterans on this roster that this is their opportunity, and they're going to make the most of it.
That is Chris Denari, the voice of the Pacers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Honestly, we're going to be missing you. Going to be missing. It is going to be tough. Like last year, it was just, here's your content, go to work. All the way basically until July the 4th weekend. Really, that's what it felt like, July the 4th weekend. And, now we can't lean on that. It's going to be weird.
Yeah, with 10 extra weeks, right, all the way to June 22nd and then into the draft and free agency. My golf game suffered a lot last year, and that was all right. My golf game may be a little bit better this summer, but I truly enjoyed what we experienced last year. I mean, John, that was special.
It was.
I mean, when we would do those live events with you and you'd see the people in the gold shirts, I mean, I still get goosebumps. I think
Terry Denari throwing down shots.
Terry Denari throwing down shots.
That's beautiful.
The Drew Powell, if you've seen that for season ticket holders, that gives me chills and goosebumps. So can't wait to experience that again someday.
Right.
And hopefully it's soon.
We'll stay in touch, pal. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, John.
Chris Denari, voice of the Pacers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Again, 2 play-ins coming up later on tonight. Heat, Hornets. I was wrong. I thought Con Knippel wouldn't be worth a crap, and he's the Rookie of the Year. I am not a fan of watching LaMelo Ball. I am kind of a fan of watching the Blazers. Blazers and Suns, that is the 10 o'clock Western Conference play-in. On the other side, IU lands a big man. You guys seen this? The latest, Jeff Rabjohns has it. We'll get to that. And the evening in Major League Baseball has a restart for the Reds. San Fran and the Reds tonight at 6:40 over at Great American. Cubs and the Phillies at 6:40 later on tonight from Philadelphia. Cardinals, Guardians, interleague play this evening too. Rays and White Sox at 7:40, all a part of the Tuesday night schedule. Quick break, we'll come back. That latest IU transfer portal news and more coming straight at you. Don't go anywhere. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. This is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for Premier Deck Coating. Ron, the number 317-696-4071. A free quote today. I have done it I've actually changed colors on mine. Mine is like white right now, too. It is incredible. The curb appeal is what I was looking for with my outdoor living space, and Premier Deck Coating will give you that. Plus, these additions, you don't have to jack with this all the time, which is exceptional. It is done. It is down. You get a 10-year warranty. Helps repel moisture, adds scratch resistancy, and it just looks spectacular from the curb or the road, and you will love it. If you like spending time outside, your deck, the fence, the pergola, your outbuilding like me, it will make your entire outdoor setup shine. You'll love the way that it looks. That's premierdeckcoating.com, 317-696-4071. Call this number, get that free quote from Ron today, and get moving on that outdoor living space, because now is the time to make things look spectacular. Hey, make your neighbors, those in the neighborhood, jealous about how your place looks too. Set it off with Premier Deck Coating. That free quote right now, 317-696-4071. That's premierdeckcoating.com. Tell them JMV sent you.
The Ride with JMV.
I don't understand a word you just said.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Crank it up. Caleb's going with Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2026 honoree Bruce Dickinson and Iron Maiden. Done. Run to the Hills. From, I believe, the 82 album, The Number of the Beast. Iron Maiden in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I regret about 2 years ago, I had tickets to see Iron Maiden at Ruoff Music Center, and it was, it's kind of like me. I had to bail at the last minute. And it's one of those things where you take advantage and you see it, and really now, you got to do that every time, because you never know when these artists, these bands, these musicians are going to be back ever again. I feel the same way about Jim Kerr and Simple Minds. and Soft Cell last summer. If you remember, that was out at Ruoff, and I so badly wanted to see it, but it was coinciding with Game 7 of the NBA Finals. What a kick in the nads. And honestly, Simple Minds Soft Cell probably will never be back. I think there are literally 15 people out there for two great bands. But I thought about this years ago with Iron Maiden. The thing about Iron Maiden as well, they had some of the most classic album art ever. Some would suggest incredibly scary. Others would say they were must-haves in the category of concert T-shirts. There may not be, outside of maybe Journey album art or concert T-shirts, a more popular ever concert T-shirt than Iron Maiden. Everybody still wears it. Number of the Beast, Killers. Everybody still wears the album art concert tees of Iron Maiden. And honestly, you probably don't know a song, or maybe that was what we just played in, the only song that you know. It is beyond classic. I think everybody had the album art Killers on a T-shirt back in the day. Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, Iron Maiden. JMV, who was the guy that IU just brought in out of the transfer portal? According to Jeff Rabjohns, 7'2", 265-pound from Turkey with 2 years of eligibility remaining, played at SMU. He's 22. His name is Samet. How do you pronounce the last name here?
Yigo Toglu is what I'm seeing.
Yigo Toglu. Samet Yiglo Toglu.
How about Yigi Toglu, I think is
Did you did you hear it in there pronounced? Yigo Toglu?
Well, one of the things I was trying to do is, so it says he started all 66 games at SMU.
Yeah.
So I was going to try to find a YouTube video or something where they're announcing the starting lineups. Couldn't find anything like that. We're relying on Google AI, which may or may not be the right thing to do. It's always tricky, but that's what it phonetically spelled. That's what it told me. So,
one more time. Try that pronunciation one more, and we'll see.
Yigi Toglu. You got 8.
Yeah, I think you're there. So 10-7 a game, 8 rebounds. Now, we'll say this. IU is in desperation mode for a big. So does that rule out
Aiden Sherrill's probably not?
Yeah, that's kind of wondered that was going to be the case.
Absolutely.
Now. So that's going to disappoint a lot of IU fans, I'm sure.
Because that kind of was the target.
What's Sherrill's numbers at Alabama compared to that?
He had I think last I saw, he was 11.6 boards at Alabama.
Oh, 11 points and 6 boards?
A game.
Well, hell, I thought he was more than that. This guy has given more than that. I just think 8 rebounds a game, you'd take that if you're IU.
Absolutely.
In search of a big guy. I just don't know if the dude can move at all, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 11 points and 6 boards for Aiden Sherrill. So, I mean, if you're just going off stat, it's not like the ACC had a better year this last year, so he's not playing in a lower conference. Those are decent numbers to start 66 games.
What did he do in that play-in against Miami of Ohio? Look back at that box score, would you? Because they lost in the play-in to Miami of Ohio, which was, frankly, a home game in Dayton for Miami of Ohio.
So
in that win.
He had 8 points, 4 or 5 shooting. Let me see how many rebounds here. He had...
Kind of wondered if he struggled at guarding anybody with that team that shot a high volume of threes.
Yeah, 6 boards. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess didn't play terrible. But, yeah, that's an interesting point, John. Okay, he's 7'2".
Yeah.
Miami's a team that's going to pull him out from underneath the rim. Yeah. He has to be able to to adapt to those types of teams that you're going to see in Big Ten play too.
So it is Samet Yigla-Toglu.
You got it.
To Indiana. 7'2", 22-year-old Turkish center. And according to Jonathan Givney, one of the most coveted big men in the portal after averaging 10-7 and 7-9. These guys are getting a crap ton of money for stats that aren't that big, aren't that great. I'm trying really hard. Man, it's pouring down rain out there right now. What the hell's happening?
It happened
I just
quick,
noticed
didn't
that.
it?
Boy, it just blew right in here, didn't it? Yeah, that is something. So, Samet Yigla-Toglu, he's 7'2". 10, let's say 11-8. 10-7, 7-9, 11-8. For the big guy right there. This was a question asked to me a little bit earlier. And from Tyler Freeman, he says, if the Pacers get the first or the fourth pick, who are you taking? DeBonza is who I'm taking first overall. I think anybody's taking him first overall. If you're picking fourth, I would still go, and I know a lot of people are down on Cam Boozer, and if I would go with Cam Boozer if Cam Boozer's available. I'm assuming that he might be. How do you think the draft will end up going? I guess it would end up being it'd be Wilson or Boozer at that point, would it not?
Stuff changes, John. Like, I always feel like in the months leading on when you get to the combine and things like that, like, I really feel like Wilson could have a chance for a lot of people to pass up Boozer. I'm not saying I agree with that, but I also, like, where does Peterson fall? Like, when that conversation gets brought up again, does he drop?
And if I'm the Pacers, I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of people have suggested stay away from Peterson. And I know that was an issue with how much he played and maybe the advice he was getting and, how he had to be dealt with at Kansas and Bill Self. But are you in a position where you can take that and just talent-base wise take that and see what you can do?
You would have to
slide him in because you got the ultra professional with the lineage with Carlos Boozer in mind and Cam Boozer, and then you got the Peterson kid that's got this outrageous level of talent, but questions regarding the playing time. How much he really had the desire to play last year, how much he was listening to those around him, how much maybe he let down his teams in moments in which he wasn't playing. What do you take?
I think if you're taking Darren Peterson, you got to bet on your culture, your locker room, and your organization. Yeah. That you have to, if those concerns are real, maybe you got to do your due diligence and find out what really happened last season.
Yeah.
But that's what you got to bet on if you take him. And like, if you're the Pacers, you look at the top of this draft and the teams that are probably going to have those picks, like, I would say they would be the organization that you would trust the most to figure that out compared to Washington, Sacramento. Like, that could feel like it's going to blow up there.
I would tend to agree. I think that is something that oftentimes is overlooked. The team that you have, the leadership that you have, the value of that, and a guy that has questions that you don't necessarily have to have the already in the professional mold type of player. Even though I don't downplay just how talented Boozer is like everybody else does. I do buy his game, but yeah, I would not be afraid of it. Now, Josh chimes in with this. IU is still getting Cheryl. Cheryl will be the 4 and Samet the 5. So he suggests that Cheryl is still going to be on the inbound to IU. But I have yet to see that.
6'10", Aiden Cheryl. And Yigatoglu 7'2". Man, that's a heck of a
some largeness going on right there. All right, we shall see. What do you think they get both now, or was that a contingency plan? A 4 and a 5? I'm saying that this is just the era of college athletics right now. You're going to put together a group of one and doneers in the program that you hope that are already made.
Yeah, and even though Yigatoglu has 2 years of eligibility, I mean, yeah.
You may not see that second. Who knows if you see that second year?
Who knows? Is it just a turnstile? You come on through and keep it moving? I don't know.
So we'll see if Cheryl still is in play right here. Submit Yigatoglu.
You got it.
There you go. 7-2-265 from SMU, from the transfer portal and to IU. That according to Jeff Rabjohns. Give Jeff the credit on that as well. Quick break. We'll come back for a final time. We'll set you up for tomorrow's show. Bobby Marks will join us. We'll ask Bobby some of the similar questions that Caleb and I knocked around between one another right here as far as the draft, the Pacers, the setup, the pace of play, that and more. He has an article regarding a lot of that. We'll get to that with Bobby Marks coming up on tomorrow's show, something you do not want to miss. The Stream the App, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, plus Howard Jones tickets coming up on the other side. August at Everwise, your chance to win at 317-239-1070 on the text line. Be ready. It's coming up next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, Johnny, with a great idea. Rhino Shield for your house. Rhino Shield for your business, commercial or residential. Don't paint, no vinyl, go Rhino. And never paint your house again with Rhino Shield. Over 1,100 different colors to choose from here. And Rhino Shield is ceramic coating, specifically formulated for this unique climate. This is special, so you're not having to mess around with this all the time. You never do it again. Plus, Rhino Shield comes with a 25-year transferable warranty, a testament to the long-lasting performance and quality of their service. And right now, this guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield can come at a discount. You guys ready? 15% off the regular price of Rhino Shield right now when you call 888-RHINO-41 and you mention my name. That's 15% off the regular price. This offer is for a limited time at 888-RHINO-41. You will love this. You deserve this, the time off, but making your home the commercial or residential place look its absolute finest. 888-RHINO-41, 15% off the regular price when you mention my name. That's rhinoshieldin.com. Residential and commercial. Don't paint, no vinyl. Go Rhino and never paint your house again. That's Rhino Shield.
The Ride with JMV.
Awesome! Totally awesome! All right, Hamilton.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, the final entry into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class of 2026. A part of Joy Division and New Order. This is the New Order part right here. Great song is called Round and Round. What a fantastic class. We'll celebrate that on the JMV Takeover on Saturday night. By the way, I believe it's a whatever weekend, so that always gets a little bit wild right there. I will say, speaking of wild, C. Fitch says that there is testicle-size hail to report in Howard County. Now, it depends on whose testicles we're talking about, but it looks like testicle-size hail and hashtag jacket off weather in Howard County right now. Or at least there was. So be on the lookout for the testicle-size hail. Howard County, according to our weather watcher, C. Fitch, right there. All right, I mentioned this as we go into it. Coming up in August, Everwise Amphitheater downtown, White River State Park. Let's go with number 30 on the text line right here. Caleb, you want to?
Let's do it.
Would you like to see? Number 30 is going to go see Howard Jones, Modern English, English Beat, and this band. It's Wang Chung. Number 30 on the text line. You're going to go. This is going to be a great 80s show for you. Howard Jones, Wang Chung, Modern English, and the English Beat. Caleb is going to get a winner here coming up in a minute. All right, Caleb, you've done an outstanding job today. You got to do this more. I am trying to find out whether or not there is room for you, right? I have not heard back, but I want to get you down and play. I haven't even heard I don't know if this is even going through. Last week it wasn't going through. It's weird on
the text.
This text line. I've been asking, but I want to get you down there and play.
Well, hey,
would you rather play on Tuesday night or Sunday morning? Sunday morning too early?
Sunday morning is perfect, and I thought those were the runs that you were always going to.
I go to the 8 a.m.s. We do that, and James does that. And James has been going to the Tuesday night ones. That's at 9. That's a little bit different. Pretty late.
I'm good for it.
Me too. I'm always.
You have to let me know if it doesn't happen this week. Down the road.
I am on the lookout and trying to find out if they need some folks here. I haven't heard from anybody in the last hour or so. All right, Rick Clark says, "Sure, bring them both." So Rick Clark says, "Sure, bring them both." I'll send something. Are you in tonight?
I'm in.
Center Grove West.
I'm in.
All right,
I'll have to change out of this jersey though. I'm not gonna. I don't like hooping in the.
You can wear the gold chain and you can guard Rick Clark, and you guys can. It'd be like Cool Mo D guarding Big Daddy Kane. Right there. It'd be good. Good for everybody. Hey, great job today, man. We appreciate that. It has been a fantastic time. That is Caleb over there. You can hear Caleb a lot. You do for the most part around here. I know you come in for the producers that are out, but you also do the Saturday night, Friday night shows with Bob, right?
Yeah, IST. I'm usually on there. Just started doing the 15-minute updates last week, so that's fun, and always love being with Bob. And yeah, just cool to be on here today. This is a show I've listened to for a long time. I listen to all these shows on this station, and just kind of checking them off the list. It's still pinch me stuff. So
man, that's
love
awesome.
it and appreciate you, man.
We definitely love having you here. By the way, Samet Yigler-Oglu. I messed it up there.
You got plenty of time to practice.
7'2", I should say 7'2", 265-pound big man from SMU is the latest, and evidently people are thinking Cheryl's still coming. So that would be, I guess, your starting five right there.
That would
and yet
be
another reason why Trent Sicily would not ever play. I mean, another reason right there.
Just and listen, it's interesting. I thought the Darren Harris pickup is interesting. I mean, he's a top recruit, but he did not average
3 points a game.
He didn't play much at
Duke.
He
played 3 minutes against UConn in that Elite Eight game.
Right.
3 minutes.
And Duke, especially with the injuries they had, they asked him to do a little bit more.
You have
he didn't.
No idea what you're getting into with this.
None.
You do not have any idea what you're getting into. And I will say this. You put your team with the best results possible. And you're putting together a team, and, obviously Ryan Carr and Darren DeVries putting together this team down there, and you have no idea. No idea how it's going to be. But you're going out and you're trying to, and you're making up for a lot, at least in the status of a big, that was necessary because it's been a while.
And the question is, like, I think I would be curious what IU fans have to say. Do you feel better right now than you did last year at this time? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
And they're all going to say because last year was, especially at the end, it was a mess. And while everybody gives them a pass, well, they got into it late, and it wasn't who DeVries wanted. I mean, other guys had to deal with that too, and they still won. And you watch what happened in Iowa, and everybody kind of looks at that as, I don't know about the entire pass. So this is a season where you have to make it happen because you got all this time to make this group your own. Caleb, great job.
I definitely started this outro a little late, just so you know. So it's one more mistake before we head out of here.
Right. So how much? We won't have any dead air. We'll just overlap a little bit.
We'll be good, man.
All right, what's coming up next here, by the way? Instant replay and then
trackside,
replay
is coming up next.
All right, trackside, 7 o'clock later on tonight.
Yep.
Remember the play-in games coming up later on this evening. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Bobby Marks will join us, has an article regarding the Pacers. We'll ask him a lot of the questions we lob to one another regarding the Pacers coming up next year. Bobby Marks of ESPN, the former NBA general manager, on the show tomorrow. Bowen's going to stop by tomorrow. Kyle Nedenrip regarding the coaching carousel in high school basketball joins us with that and more on tomorrow's show. Caleb, great job. Robert Hayes, Greg Rakestraw, Chris Denari, podcast 1075thefan.com. You guys have a great night.